Good morning, baseball fans, on this Wednesday morning. I guess we can sum this one up by, and then there were eight. We've got 8 teams left in each of the 7 classifications across the state of Alabama. The matchups only get more and more difficult. And, we last week we went 4 hours. We previewed, I believe it was 56. No, it was
It was eight.
7 times. Yeah, 50. We previewed all 56 matchups across the state. We are hoping that we can cut that down about half this week. Obviously, there are half of the matchups. There are 4 matchups in each classification. And so we're going to get started with that in just a second. We appreciate all of you tuning in. Again, we hope this one goes a little bit quicker than last week. But again, we could wrap this up really quick if we wanted to, but we want to make sure that we give all the teams and all the matchups equal opportunity, I guess you can say. Good morning, Austin. How are you today?
Good morning. Hoping for a bounce back week. We'll get to our records. It was a tough week for me. Tough week. So, but we try to, we pick, if there's a series where we think that we feel pretty strongly convicted that one team is going to win, we'll both pick. But we try to make it fun in split series. But there's no excuse for a week I had last week. So, but yeah, it's we got some weather like we did last week. There were some games that just finished up, 2 days on Monday, 3 series.
3, yeah.
But looks like we've got some weather coming in overnight, at least in my part, more the central part of the state. But don't think it's going to get here until 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So should be some games for me today, and then we'll see how tomorrow is. And then Friday, there's some really good matchups around here, and we'll be out and about. And I know it's you were going to go to that Westbrook Christian Industrial Series today, got pushed back. I guess Lindsay Lane and Mars Hill got pushed back. So
yeah.
A lot of the series up north will get getting moved, but central part of the state, Glenwood, Altamont, Reeltown, and Ayrton, Lee Scott, Thomasville. I think those matchups are good for today. So we'll see, but we'll be out and about once again this week. It's good to see all boxes gone from my living room. So I was kind of tied down with that last week, but I'll be full go this week going to games. So excited.
And I noticed you got your River Run poster behind you, man. Absolutely.
Right.
That was from opening weekend. That's right. And I know that I talked with the people at Gordo today. They very well may be moving their matchup to River Run with Collinsville. And again, that's to be determined. They're going to try to play it at home, obviously, but maybe moving that to River Run if things don't work out according to weather. So, man, with that, we'll take a brief look back to last week. As Austin said, he didn't want to. He may mute this part, so you don't have to listen. Didn't have a great week for him, but again, that could change this week. Looking back at last week in 1A, I was a perfect 8-0. Austin was 3-5.
Ooh.
In 2A, I was 8-0. Austin was 7-1. In 3A, I was 8-0. Austin was 4-4. In 4A, I was 6-2. Austin was 7-1. In 5A, I was 6-2. Austin was 4-4. In 6A, I was 7-1. Austin was 5-3. In 7A, I was 5-3. Austin was 6-2. Last week, I was 48-8. Austin was 36-20 for the week. You combine that with our previous weeks, that gives Austin an overall record of 117-35. And then I've got 127 wins and 25 losses. So a big week for me. That could very well change. And, I'll say this before we get started. It's very possible that we're different on a lot of matchups this week. It gets more and more difficult every week to pick these matchups. And, I don't care what classification we're talking about. If you are at this stage of the playoffs, you are a very good team. I know that last week we had a little indirect shot, no, maybe not that, about providing some motivation. I'm going to go back again to say, if you need motivation for a state baseball playoff to get you jacked up to play, then there's something wrong with you, not our picks. So, again, any team can win any of these series, because if you're one of 8 remaining, you are legit. There's no doubt about it. So with that said, we're going to go and get cranked up in 1A so we can get this thing moving right along. As I said, in 1A, we'll get cranked up. And as we did last week, we will be working from the north to the south. Our first matchup in the north, you've got Athens Bible School. They come in. I'm sorry.
There you go. Had the wrong class up.
Okay. All right. Athens Bible School finished right outside the top 10 in our final poll. They come in at 20-11. They swept Skyline last week by scores of 7-1 and 4-2. They will be at number 1 Hubbardsville this week. Hubbardsville comes in with the record of 21-6. As I said, they finished number 1 in the state after sweeping Spring Garden last week, 8-5 and 7-3. This will be an interesting matchup. Let's take a look at from last week. Let's take a look at Athens Bible first. Again, they swept Skyline in game 1. Ryan Faust went 7 innings, getting the complete game win, giving up 1 earned run. He also went 2 for 4 at the plate. Jake Banta was also 2 for 4 with the triple and 2 RBIs in that 7-1 win. In game 2, Justin Crafton got the win on the mound, going 6 innings, giving up 2 earned runs with 6 strikeouts. Luke Merle got the save in that 4-2 matchup. He got the save throwing the 7th inning. Obviously 1 innings pitched, gave up no hits, struck out all 3 that he faced, while also adding an RBI single. And then Ryan Faust, after his heroics on the mound in game 1, had a single and 2 RBIs in game 2. Spring Garden, as we mentioned, Hubbardsville, as we mentioned, swept Spring Garden in game 1. Blaze Wakefield, that's a name that we've grown synonymous with playoff success. Turned in a complete game gym, going 7 innings, giving up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. Landon Dodd went 2 for 4 with an RBI, while Kane Rushing went 2 for 3 with a double and 2 RBIs. Seth Hollingsworth had a 3 for 4 day at the plate, and Bryce Afshar added a double. In game 2, another one of those big arms for Hubbardsville, Landon Dodd, went 7 innings, another complete game, giving up 5 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 5. He also had 2 hits and 4 at-bats to go with an RBI. And Braylon Hill was 2 for 3 with an RBI. And then Blaze Wakefield, again, mentioned him in game 1 on the mound. He went 2 for 3 with a double. I know if you look at this on paper, you think, hey, this is an easy matchup to predict. Hubbardsville's the number 1 team, 21-6. Then you look at that Athens Bible team, a team that I saw about a month ago against a really good Addison team that we'll talk about in just a minute. An Athens Bible team that can score some runs. I don't think this is going to be an easy matchup whatsoever. I do think Athens Bible has rolled the last 2 weeks. They have been really impressive, but it's hard not to go with the number 1 ranked team at home. I'm going to go with Hubbardsville this week in a sneaky, interesting matchup.
I will go with Hubbardsville as well. I picked against Hubbardsville last week. They split against Pickens Academy opening weekend. I thought Spring Garden. I picked Spring Garden and Hubbardsville handled that series pretty easily. So I'm going to back our number 1 team in the state in 1A this week. You mentioned all those players, but Cole Brand, Cole Brand comes into this series, I think, hitting like 500 and has hit over. Looking at him, I remember him from last year. He hit 492 last year, I think, as a sophomore, and is hitting 500 this year as a junior. And you didn't mention him when they were still able to win that series and sweep that series against Spring Garden with him not having much offensive output. So speaks to their depth offensively. And you mentioned the 2 arms that they have on the mound. But you said it, Athens Bible played well all year long. Last week, they handled Skyline really well and handled their business really well the last few weeks. But I'm going to side with Hubbardsville as well and pick them to advance to the semifinals in 1A. Our next matchup, a top 7 matchup in Class 1A. We have number 7 Addison going on the road to number 2 Appalachian. Addison comes in at 24-6. While Appalachian sits at 25-3, an impressive 25-3. Last week, Addison swept South Lamar by scores of 9-2 and 2-1. They also beat Berry in the first round And then for Appalachian last week, they swept Eider 5-2 and 18-4 in 5 innings, and also beat Hackleburg. So they've beaten. No, I got that mixed up. Addison beat Hackleburg in round 1. Appalachian beat Jacksonville Christian in round 1. And I think that both of these teams have swept. I think both rounds that these teams have played in have been sweeps, so have been handled their business. Haven't really been tested that much up until this point. I guess Addison has had a tough road playing Hackleburg and South Lamar, but they were, still able to win both of those series pretty easily. You look at last week how they got here. For Addison, last week's win over ranked South Lamar, they won game 1 9-2. In that game 1, Kaya Lake, who just committed to Bevel, I think, he went 7 innings, complete game win, gave up no earned runs, and struck out 5. Tucker Thompson went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Stone Talley was 2 for 4 with a triple. Connor Lane was 3 for 4 with a pair of doubles and 2 RBIs. And then Scout Flynn was 2 for 4 and drove in a run. And then in game 2, they won 2-1. Tucker Thompson had a masterful outing on the mound. He went 7 innings, earning the complete game win. He gave up just 1 hit, no earned runs, walked nobody, and struck out 7. At the plate, Kaya Lake, after the game 1 win on the mound, he went 2 for 2, and then Connor Lane added a single as well for Addison.
I think that was the only 3 hits of the game they had. So
yeah.
For Appalachian last week, beating Eider 5-2 and 18-4. In game 1, Caleb Kahn went 7 innings. He gave up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, and 12 strikeouts. Braden Denson went 2 for 3 with a double. Fernando Maldonado was also 2 for 3. Connor Cassidy added a double and 2 RBIs. And then Cole Smith doubled for Appalachian. And then in game 2, they kind of separated and pulled away, winning 18-4 in 5 innings. And in that game 2, Cole Smith went 4 innings. He gave up just 1 earned run, struck out 6. He was also 2 for 3 with a double and 2 RBIs at the plate. Connor Cassidy once again added a double. He went 2 for 2 with 5 RBIs. Braden Denson had another multi-hit performance with a 2 for 3 performance with a double. Caleb Kahn was 2 for 2, as was Ian Putnam. They both drove in a run, and then Colton Caldwell drove in 2 runs. This is another big time matchup. Probably if you're looking at rankings, one of the best quarterfinals matchup in 1A. But like you said, if you get to this point, you're really good. And these are 8 really good teams. And just like these 2 teams, Appalachian's been ranked inside our top 5 all season long in 1A. They're 25-3, which is really impressive. Not just for any team, but especially for a 1A team. And then Addison is also 24-6, and they've got guys who have been, have played in deep postseason series for the past couple of years, and Kaya Lake, Stone Talley, Tucker Thompson. But I'm going to go with Appalachian here at home, and the body of work for Appalachian. They're a consistent powerhouse in Class 1A. They won it, I think, 3 years ago at the 1A level. And this year it seems like they've put together just a complete season, and they've rolled throughout their first two rounds in the playoffs. And I like them, but it's going to be tougher here. Addison can swing the bat and got some quality pitching from Kaya Lake and Tucker Thompson last week, but I'm going to go with Appalachian here.
Well, I think it's only fitting, and I'm not doing this again. Me and Austin want to win. I mean, we're picking against each other. I think it's only fitting that we split this, and I went with Addison, and it pains me not to pick Appalachian. If I went with Appalachian, it'd pain me not to pick Addison. I'm going to go with Addison here. When I saw them at Athens Bible, man, they were really impressive and really offensive through the lineup. Lake and Thompson give them 2 frontline arms. I know that Kahn and Cole Smith for Appalachian was the same way. I like that offensive depth that Addison brings, and I think this is an upset. And again, we hate picking against any of these 8 teams in any of the classifications. I'm going to go with Addison to go on the road and pull off what would be an upset. I don't think the Addison people think it's an upset. I mean, these are 2 quality teams. And, I'm not comfortable going either way because both of them, I mean, you look at 25-3, 24-6, they have run the gauntlet this year and have held, and have held serve throughout the season. It's just, again, you get this late in the playoffs, this is what it's going to be, and it makes it tough on us. But we're going to split this one. I'm going to go with Addison, and that takes us to the southern part of the bracket, where we've got a matchup of two teams that finished ranked outside of our top 10, and that is Milry, who come in at 14-14. They've gotten really hot of late. They will be on the road at University Charter, who comes in with a record of 18-12. Milry swept Sweetwater this in round 2, winning 9-0 and 7-5. And University Charter swept Autauga Academy 11-10 and 8-3. Again, both of these teams finished outside of our top 10, just right outside there in teams to watch. Let's look at both of these teams. In game 1, Milry, it was 2-0 entering the bottom of the 6th. Tight game. They scored 7 in the bottom of the 6th to push it to a 9-0 lead. So it was a tight game. That offense exploded later. Caden Welford got the win in game 1, going complete game, 7 innings pitched. Only gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 4. Braxton Jenkins was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. Tied Stockley 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. That's how they wrapped up game 1. In game 2, they trailed 5-2. And they were the visiting team in game 2. They trailed 5-2 and scored 5 times in the top of the 7th for that 7-5 win. Tanner Sullivan got the win in relief, going 2 innings on the mound, no hits, no runs, no walks, and struck out 6. Hayden Phillips was 2 for 2 with 2 doubles and an RBI. Brody Waite added a double, and Dravion Leverett added a double and 2 RBIs, as well as Jacob Graham adding a double and a run driven in as well. So they exploded there late in the 7th to score. I think they had they capitalized on a couple miscues and a couple timely hits. That's how Milry got there. University Charter swept Autauga Academy. In game 1, they trailed 10-8 going to the top of the 7th. And they scored 3 runs to take the lead and ultimately held on for that 11-10 win. Josiah Dubose went 2 for 4 at the plate. He also got the win, going 2 innings, giving up no earned runs and 2 strikeouts. Braden Murray added a double and an RBI. Landon McClure was 2 for 4 with an RBI. Michael Gibson went 3 for 5, driving in a run. He also got the save, pitching the 7th inning, give up no hits, no runs, no walks, struck out 2. And then Jonah Dubose collected 2 hits and 2 RBIs, and Caleb Reed drove in 2 runs as well. In that game 2 win, Michael Gibson got the complete game win, scattering 3 hits over 7 innings. Did not give up an earned run while striking out 6. He also added 3 hits with the bat, including a double. Josiah Dubose, again, a double and an RBI. And then Braden Murray, once again, added a single and 2 RBIs. I think these are 2 similar teams. Obviously, in their path to get here, they both scored late in games. Milry did it twice. University Charter did it in game 1 against Autauga Academy. Similar paths here. Both of them finished right outside the top 10. I think they're both playing their best baseball now. They've been a little now. Milry's been a little up and down. I think they were a little down early in the season, but have played much better the second half of the season. And then the reason they got this far for that, I'm going to go with the home team, man. I'm going to go University Charter here. I think I picked against them in round 1. Sort of learned my lesson. I think I picked against Milry last week and learned my lesson. So, again, these are getting harder and harder for us. But, yeah, the Dubose brothers, with the bat, Josiah on the mound as well. I'm going to go University Charter at home to advance to the Final Four.
Yeah, I picked against both of these teams last week. Both were able to win. You talked about Milry, in the past few years, and Milry has been accustomed to deep playoff runs. We had them preseason ranked 1A in 1A to start the season. Like you said, they kind of scuffled out of the gate. Got into area play and handled their business, to get into the playoffs, finishing as the runner-up. And then, kind of coming into the playoffs, you look at, they lost 8 straight coming in, or leading up into the playoffs. They beat Washington County and Jackson on that Monday and Tuesday before the playoffs, but they had lost 8 in a row. Now, granted, they played Thomasville, Leroy. They played Thomasville twice. And these two teams have actually played 3 times in the regular season. University Charter has won 3 of those, all 3 of those. But you look at Millry and how they've been able to turn it around last week, beating a Sweetwater team that we saw at the small town showdown. They held their own against some 2A and 3A teams for them to get that sweep and be able to come back, especially in what was it, game 1, or no, in game 2. I'm gonna go with University Charter here. Their body of work, being at home. We thought Autauga Academy had a chance to make a run and for them to sweep them, especially coming back in that game 1. You talked about it. Both of these teams showing being able to persevere through a deficit in the middle part of the game and be able to come back and to take a lead in the playoff series. That speaks a lot to the toughness of both of these teams. But I will go with the University Charter as well, and so we'll both go University Charter as well. But wouldn't be surprised. These are 2 teams that are hot, playing their best baseball at the right time. And these are 2 good teams, and we'll see how this series unfolds. Our last matchup in 1A, you've got number 4 Fayetteville going on the road to number 10 Maplesville. Fayetteville comes in at 17-17. Maplesville is 20-12. How both of these teams got here, we'll start with Fayetteville. In round 1, Fayetteville swept Verbena, and then last week set up a number 3 versus number 4 matchup with Brantley. And I think some people were surprised with, and we probably both would say we were a little bit surprised with how much they won 14-4 in 5 innings and 19-0 in 5 innings against Brantley. I think we both picked Fayetteville. I think we both picked them to win, but it was impressive to see in the way that they won. We've had this Fayetteville team ranked high all season long I think they've had a losing record for the majority of the season up until last week. They're 17-17 now, but we continuously talked on our regularly scheduled podcast throughout the season. Don't let that record fool you. This is a really good team. They played, the likes of 5A, 6A schools, and have played those teams tough. And this is, it seems like this is the part of the season where they're starting to reap the benefits of playing that tough schedule. So Fayetteville last week, like I said, swept Brantley, number 3 Brantley, 14-4 in 5 innings, and then 19-0 in 5 innings in game 2. In game 1,
before you get to it, we talked last week about some baseball names. They have my favorite name. So go ahead. You can keep going.
I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. In game 1 for Fayetteville, winning 14-4. I think they were down 3-0 or 4-0 in the first, and from there they dominated. In game 1, Britton Cantrell on the mound went 4 innings. He got the win, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and struck out 4. Connor Crumpton was a perfect 4-for-4. He had a double and 2 RBIs. Ethan Jones, big time right-handed bat for them. He was 3-for-4 with a home run and 4 RBIs. Braden Wood was 2-for-4, and then Aiden Hernandez and Cam Hammonds were both 2-for-3 with a pair of singles. In game 2, winning 19-0 in 5 innings, Carter Goins went 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. Britton Cantrell, again, was 2-for-3 with 2 doubles and 4 runs driven in. Connor Crumpton was 2-for-3 with a double and 3 RBIs. And rounding it out, Jet Liner had a double and 2 RBIs for Fayetteville to help them get that 19-0 win and cap off that series sweep for Fayetteville.
Austin, you probably won't get this, but anybody out there that's a Steve Miller Band that likes Steve Miller Band,
Oh, I know.
the big old jet airliner.
Liner.
That's I just wonder if his parents are big Steve Miller Band fans growing up. So
For Maplesville, they'll be at home this week. Last week, this was one of those series that leaked into Monday due to weather. But they both split on Saturday and set up a winner-take-all Game 3 on Monday, just 2 days ago. Maplesville was able to win that series. They won Game 1 5-2, dropped Game 2 5-1, and then on Monday they beat Florala 10-0 to advance to the quarterfinals. In that Game 1 5-2 win for Maplesville, JT Johnson went 7 innings. He gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, and 10 strikeouts. He was also 2 for 2 at the plate. Pierce Jurgen was 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Eli Hubbard was 2 for 2, and Aiden Abbott added a 2 RBI double at the plate. We mentioned they lost 5-1 in Game 2 and then turned around on Monday in Game 3, won 10-0. Jake Carley went 7 innings, allowed just 4 hits, no runs, and struck out 5. Eli Hubbard was 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Aiden Abbott drove in 2 runs on a hit. Braden Atchison was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. And then Luke Gray went 2 for 3 with a double and 3 RBIs. You look at Maplesville, and I think when we were both tracking games as we are throughout the week as games are going on, we saw Maplesville win that Game 1 5-2, and I think beat Easton Walsh in Game 1, and then in Game 2, you think Eli Hubbard UAB recruits going on the mound. This is you feel like Maplesville is going to sweep here. Florala ended up winning that game 5-1, and then you wonder how much depth Maplesville has behind those 2 arms. And credit, Jake Carley had the best outing of the week for Maplesville, not giving up a run in the complete game outing. So speaks to the depth and how well Maplesville is playing right now. But you look, Fayetteville, we've had this Fayetteville team pegged as one of the main contenders in Class 1A. They're going to be on the road this week. They're going to face some good arms, but they face good arms all year long. I'm going to go with Fayetteville here. I think last week, kind of was a big time statement win for Fayetteville. And I'm going to go with the Wolves here to go on the road and get a series win to advance to the semis.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Fayetteville as well. And it's not just like a slam dunk, no contest. I'm going with Fayetteville. I actually put a lot of thought into this because, as you mentioned, I like that pitching depth that Maplesville has. This will be a highly competitive series. Would not surprise me a bit at going 3 games. JT Johnson, Eli Hubbard, Jake Carley. Every time out, they're going to give Maplesville a chance to win. But no need to restate some of the things that you just said. We very well, Maplesville very well may win this series. Absolutely, they can win this series. But we've been on this Fayetteville team all year, even with that 17-17 record. And so it's just hard not to go. It's hard not to go against them. So I'm going to go Fayetteville again on the road, tough environment. It's going to be a dogfight, but give me the Wolves to advance to the Final Four in 1A, which that will take us straight into 2A. Again, we'll start in the north where we've got a top 7 matchup. You've got North Sand Mountain. They come in at 23-9 with a ranking ranked 7th in 2A. They will be on the road at Red Bay, who come in with a record of 23-6, finished the season ranked number 5 in the state. North Sand Mountain took 2 of 3 from Pleasant Valley. North Sand Mountain has been pushed to 3 games the last 2 weekends. I know Decatur Heritage pushed them to 3 games in round 1, and then Pleasant Valley, a really good Pleasant Valley team, took them to 3 games this past weekend. I'm not saying that's a bad thing whatsoever. I know that coaches probably want to win every game 12-0. It's not going to happen at this time of the season. But being pushed and being pushed to the limit and being able to overcome that could pay dividends for your team down the road. They lost Game 1 8-2 to Pleasant Valley. Then they were able to come back and win Game 2 9-2, and then won Game 3 15-5 in 6 innings. In Game 2, Carson Harvey, complete game win, going all 7 innings, gave up 1 earned run and struck out 3. Cooper Pierce was 2 for 4 with a double and drove in 3 runs. Grayson Keller was 2 for 4. Jackson Langster was 2 for 3 with an RBI, and catcher Jackson Burgess added an RBI double. In game 3, Cooper Pierce went 6 innings, complete game win, giving up 2 earned runs and striking out 2. He was 3 for 4 with the double and added 4 RBIs. And then Grayson Keller, once again with the bat, was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs as well. That game got away from Pleasant Valley late, or not late, just throughout. North Sand Mountain was able to capitalize on some miscues and some freebies at the plate. Then they had, then they put together some hits there, some RBI knocks to extend that lead, and they pulled away and won 15-5, as we said, in 6 innings. Red Bay was able to defeat Summerton Christian in 2 games by scores of 13-3 and 2-1 in 8 innings. In game 1, Carson McGee got the win, going 6 innings, giving up an earned run and struck out 6. Jeremiah Thorne was 2 for 4, as was Riley Carpenter. Aiden Pruitt was also 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Landon Louie was 2 for 5 with a double and an RBI. Davo Colburn was a perfect 5 for 5 with 3 runs driven in. And then Joshua Thorne was 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. So as you can see, man, that is a deep lineup, multiple hits for about 6 guys in that lineup. In game 2, Red Bay trailed 1-0 in the bottom of the 7th, and Riley Carpenter doubled in Davo Colburn, who had tripled to start the bottom of the 7th. That's how they tied it up. And then they walked it off in the bottom of the 8th on an error on the other side. So again, trailing 1-0, they pushed one across on a Riley Carpenter double that drove in Davo Colburn, who tripled to start the 7th, and then walked it off on an error in the 8th. Riley Carpenter, we mentioned him, had that double in the 7th. Colburn with that leadoff triple in the 7th. And then Jeremiah Thornton, man, love this Red Bay pitching staff. Jeremiah Thornton went all 8 innings, gave up only 2 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 7. Man, that is some legit pitching on both sides from North Sand Mountain and Red Bay. These are 2, again, teams that expect to be here, teams that we've been on all year long. It's a top 7 matchup. I'm going to go with Red Bay for a number of reasons. Number 1, they are at home. Number 2, I love the offensive depth in that lineup. And then,
well, they played last night.
Is that true?
I don't know.
We knew nothing about it on Twitter or anything. And then Jeremiah Thorne as well. So I don't know.
That's right.
Yes. Okay. Then that is absolutely 100% on us.
I'm
again,
going Red Bay.
Yeah. We both went Red Bay. And I have to say this, okay? We depend on Twitters and social media to update us. We had no clue of this. We also scour other places looking for schedules. We had no clue of this. I wish I could take a screenshot. I took Red Bay, yeah, and Austin did as well. But again, this is a first for us.
Wow.
What's that?
I said, yeah, I know. Wow.
This is a first for us. I can't believe our guy Adam McGee didn't let us know, man. I'd have tried to get over there last night. I was looking for something to do, but yeah. Well, so give me North Sand Mountain to advance. What do you think, Austin?
You're going.
No. Sorry, give me Red Bay
Okay.
to advance. I'm sorry. Congratulations to Red Bay there. Again, this is an absolute first for us. Again, but it's the joys of live production. So there it is. We'll go ahead and move to our second matchup. Austin, you want to go with that one?
Yep, I'll take our next matchup. This is one of the biggest. We've pegged, especially that top 5 in 2A is that a real crop of of contenders in Class 2A, and these are 2 of those teams in our final matchup in the North. You've got number 4 Lindsay Lane Christian going on the road to number 2 Mars Hill Bible. Lindsay Lane comes in at 32-6. Mars Hill Bible sits at 26-9. Again, I said this is a top 4 matchup. How both these teams got here: for Lindsay Lane, in round 1, they swept Pisgah, and then turned around last week and swept Cold Springs by scores of 4-0 and 13-3. Looking at that series last week in game 1, winning 4-0, Wyatt Wallace went 7 innings. He gave up 2 hits, no runs, and struck out 6. He also drove in 2 runs. Hampton Wallace had a double, and then there were 4 other players who added a single for Lindsay Lane in that 4-0 win. So they leaned on their pitching, and then in game 2, they leaned on their offense, winning 13-3. Grayson Miller, freshman, went 7 innings, allowed 2 earned runs, and struck out 9. He was also 2 for 5 with an RBI at the plate. Bryson McMullen was 2 for 4. Cooper Abernathy was 3 for 5 with 2 doubles and 3 RBIs. Hampton Wallace again was 2 for 4. Finn Redding was 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Freshman LT Thornton was 2 for 5 with two RBIs. And then Lincoln Kahn and Wyatt Wallace both added a double for Lindsey Lane to finish off that sweep to advance. For Mars Hill Bible last week, we pegged that Mars Hill Bible Vincent. Anytime those two teams meet up in the playoffs, it's always going to be a good series, and that was certainly the case last week, going 3 games. In game 1, Mars Hill won 11-0 in 5 innings, and then in game 2, they lost 5-2, and then in game 3, they won 9-1. In game 1, that 11-0 5-inning victory for Mars Hill Bible. Bo Willis went 5 innings through a 5-inning no-hitter. He walked 1 and struck out 4, also drove in a run at the plate. Christian O'Rear was 3 for 3 with an RBI. Carson Wynn added a double. And him and Brooks Campbell both drove in 3 runs at the plate for Mars Hill. They lost 5-2 in game 2. And then in game 3, Carson Wynn went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 earned run, and drove in 2 runs. And then Malin Moore was 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI. He just signed up for the future game, or for the Yellowhammer State games about 20 minutes ago. Bo Willis was 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Noah Hanback was 2 for 3 with 2 walks. Luke Fowler was 3 for 5, and then Sam Spillers added a double and 2 RBIs. These are we've had, obviously, Mars Hill Bible has been 1 or 2 all season long. Lindsey Lane has been inside the top 4 all season long. These are 2 powerhouse programs up in the northern part of the state. It just felt like all season long, both of these teams were on a crash course to eventually meet up in the deep rounds, the later rounds of the playoffs. And here's that series is finally here. I'm going to go with Lindsey Lane Christian. Give me Lindsey Lane to go on the road, what is sure to be a hostile environment. Mars Hill Bible, one of the more storied, smaller class programs in the state. But same could be said for Lindsey Lane. We're really high on both of these teams coming into the season. I'll go Lindsey Lane. Saw both these teams in our small town showdown. Really impressed with both of them. They've continued to play well all season long. But I'll go Lindsey Lane. And hurts to go against Mars Hill Bible. Well coached. Coach Willingham does a great job, as does Lindsey Lane. Give me the Lions.
RBI single by one of our interns, man.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, man, you said it all. We didn't want to say too much, but this was a matchup that we hoped was coming and we thought would be coming, and here it is. You said it. I've said all year how much I love Mars Hill's offensive approach, man. I just, what do you expect from a former major leaguer that coaches them? Really good guy. Their offensive approach is just outstanding at the plate. You look at Lindsey Lane Christian, they played 38 games and won 32 of them. And I'm going to tell you, both of these teams have some really good young players there. It's not a senior-dominated team for either one of them, but I'll tell you, that Lindsey Lane team is really young. And Mars Hill's got some really, really young pieces as well. This is a matchup, like you said, it pains me to go either way. Coach Morrison at Lindsey Lane does a fantastic job. That program in the last 3 or 4 years has just they've made leaps and bounds, jumps over the last 3 or 4 years, and they are a bona fide contender in 2A every year, as is Mars Hill. We're going to split this, man. I'm going to go Mars Hill, and not comfortable doing so. I like them. I like Lindsey Lane. I think these two teams are really similar. Lindsey Lane might have a little bit more depth on the mound. I don't know that, but again, that offensive approach for Mars Hill is just impressive to me, and that sort of leans me over the top. So give me Mars Hill, and I think it's pretty fitting that we split that matchup as well. Our next matchup, we move to the south. You've got number 9, Tuscaloosa Academy. Come in with an 18-12 record. They will be on the road at number 1, GW Long. The Rebels come in with a record of 27-7. Tuscaloosa Academy got here by sweeping Highland home last week in dominating fashion, in 14-3 in 5 innings, and then winning 10-0 in the nightcap. While GW Long beat JU Blackshear 5-2 and 9-2. In game one of that Tuscaloosa Academy matchup with Highland Home, Henry Smith went complete game, 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 4. He also added an RBI double, while Harwood Beaker went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Wes Murphy, 3 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Graham Sims, 2 for 3 with a double and 3 RBIs. That was the offensive firepower in there in game one. In game two, Harwood Beaker got the ball and turned in a complete game, 7-inning performance. Gave up only 1 hit, no runs, no walks, struck out 9. Harmon Smith went 3 for 4 with an RBI double. Mark Norris was 2 for 5 with a triple and an RBI, while Scott Kemp went 3 for 5 and drove in 3 runs in that 10-0 victory. GW Long, as I mentioned, swept JU Blackshear in game one. Lawson German went complete game, 7 innings on the bump, giving up 1 earned run, no walks, and 4 Ks. He also had 2 hits at the plate. Zion Marshall was 2 for 4, and then 5 other players in that Rebel lineup had 1 hit each. In game two, Blaine Wood got the win, going 5 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and struck out 8. Matthew McDaniel had a home run and drove in 3 of the 9 runs, while 6 other players had 1 hit each. This is, I think, this series here, number one. This series here, number one. I think you've got that notoriously strong 2A program. And then you've got an up-and-comer in Tuscaloosa Academy that has really put together a few really good years on the diamond. I know last year we were big on them at the beginning. They scuffled. We dropped them a little bit, and they got hot late. And they're doing that this year as well. They have got some, you look at Harwood Beaker there, giving up 1 hit. In game two, Henry Smith only gave up 2 hits. You flip it over the other side. You got 2 performances there for GW Long on the bump as well. This one to me is again, we've said this, and I hate to keep saying it, but all 8 teams in every class can win either any matchup they're in. But I'm gonna go with GW Long. Number one, historically, it's hard to pick against GW Long in the playoffs. You said that last week against Madison Academy, and it came back to haunt us. I remember you saying that on the podcast. Same thing for GW Long, man. It's hard to go against them in the playoffs. I do think the competition steps up a little bit for Tuscaloosa Academy this week. They've done exactly what was put in front of them. Kudos to them. And they could very well go on the road and go to Skipperville and win this matchup. But I just like GW Long. There's some depth in that lineup. I'm gonna go with the Rebels to advance to yet another Final Four.
Yeah, I will go. I'm going to go with GW Long here. The Rebels, we have them at number 1 in our 2A poll. Had a big, and especially down the stretch, they've beaten the likes of Enterprise. They won 2 out of 3 against an really good Ayrton team in that rivalry, and it certainly looks like that GW Long Ayrton once again could decide who comes out of the South. But both teams have 2 good teams to play this week. Tuscaloosa Academy has, like you said, last season made a run. They were a notorious power at the AHSAA ranks. So this will be a really good matchup. But like you said, I think the competition takes a step up again this week for Tuscaloosa Academy. You mentioned GW Long, 27-7, a notorious power in 2A. Hard to go against the Rebels and Coach Miller in the deep rounds of the playoffs. So give me GW Long to advance to yet another state semifinals in 2A. Our final matchup in 2A, we have number 3 Ayrton going on the road to a Reeltown team who finished just outside the top 10. Ayrton comes in at 28-7. Reeltown is 19-11. How both these teams got here? Ayrton went on the road in round 1 and swept Pike Liberal Arts, and then last week they swept Ranburn. Ayrton has played 2 ranked teams in the first 2 rounds, and they've swept both of them. And this is obviously Ayrton being at number 3 speaks to how they're obviously one of the top teams in 2A and have certainly been playing like it as of late. In that series win last week over Ranburn, then won game 1 13-3 in 6 innings, and then in game 2 won 7-0. In game one, Easton Kilpatrick went 6 innings in the complete game. He allowed 3 earned runs and struck out 7. He also added a 2-for-3 performance with a home run and 2 RBIs at the plate. Bryce Odom was 2-for-3 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Connor Davidson was 2-for-4 with 2 RBIs. And then Brody Lowry added an RBI double. And then in game 2, listen to this line. Addison Sin, left-handed pitcher for Ayrton, went 7 innings in the 7-0 win for Ayrton. Sin went 7 innings, no hits, no runs, and 17 strikeouts. So 17 out of the 21 outs were strikeouts. Bryce Odom, again, was 2-for-3 with an RBI. Connor Davidson was 2-for-3 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. Bryson Rhett added a double, and Wells Gainey added a single and 2 RBIs. For Reeltown last week, or for Reeltown, they swept Calhoun 16-0 in both games in round 1. And then in round 2 last week, went on the road down south and swept Bayshore Christian 7-1 and 2-1 over number 10 Bayshore Christian. In game 1, Brody Smith went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 5. Jamarcus Smith was 2-for-4 with a triple. Reed Wood had a big 2 RBI single. In game 2, the 2-1 win, Reed Wood got on the mound, went 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 9. Jamarcus Smith came on in the 7th, and he got the final 3 outs, getting the save. He struck out 2. He also went 2-for-3 with an RBI at the plate and drove in the eventual game winner in that 1-1 contest. He had a big drove in the game winning run in the bottom of the 5th. Braxton Limley was 2-for-2, and Hudson Lewis was 3-for-3 with a double. This is the Reeltown team. We had preseason ranked like 5 or 6 to start the season. Didn't get off to as good of a start as some others. They've been outside the top 10 all year long, but you look at, and I was even looking at it when we were doing our 2A polls on the back half of the season. We both noticed Reeltown continued to get better as the season went on. They beat Trinity Presbyterian. They rolled through their area. But I think, again, I think the competition takes a step up again this week for Reeltown. I think Ayrton is similar to GW Long. Ayrton has, with Kilpatrick and Sin on the mound, those two are as good as it gets in at the 2A level. And then 1 through 9, Ayrton can swing it. We mentioned the performers from last week. They're getting contributions from a number of guys, and I just think I'm going to go with Ayrton here to advance to another semifinal appearance in 2A. But Reeltown's playing really well as of late, but I'm going to go Ayrton.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ayrton as well, man. That offensive depth that you talked about is pretty scary. But then you look at the other side, people like Brody Smith, Reed Wood, and we know the arm talent for Jamarcus Smith coming in and just overpowering that 7th inning last week and that 2-1 win. This is a Reeltown team that can absolutely slow down Ayrton with the arms they have on the mound. But I think it's just too many tough outs in that lineup. And you mentioned it, Kilpatrick and Sin. Here I am talking about the offensive side of Ayrton. Well, I mean, look at what they did on the bump last week. I mean, 17 punch outs for Sin out of 21 outs says a lot. I know it's on the road. I know it's going to be tough there, but I'm going to go Ayrton as well. I liked their, they if you ask them, they didn't perform like they wanted to in our small town showdown, but I can tell you that that I like the fight in that team. And I think that they're built for a long run. We'll see if that plays out or not, but I'm like you, give me Ayrton as well to advance this week to the Final Four. So we're through 2 classifications. We're jumping ahead to 3A, where, man, right off the get-go, we've got a mega matchup. And this is one, although you can't see my sheet I have in front of me, I have yet to make a pick. That's how much I like both of these teams, man. Both of these teams have been at the top of our rankings all year long, and that's number 3, Collinsville. Both of these teams were in our small town showdown as well. That's number 3, Collinsville. They come in with a record of 26-5 after sweeping Elkmont. They are on the road at number 2. So you've got number 2 versus number 3, the Green Wave of Gordo. Gordo comes in with a record of 28-8 after sweeping Glencoe 7-0 and 6-5. Both of these teams were in tight games last week, and I think it will do both of them good moving forward. Taking a look at Collinsville, man, what a performance from Gavin Lang. In game one, Lang went 6 innings, getting the win, gave up 2 hits, no runs, and struck out 13, while also contributing 2 hits, including a double and 4 RBIs. Jeremiah Killian also added a home run with 2 RBIs, and those were the only multi-hit guys for Collinsville in game one. In game two, Mason McAteer went 2 for 4 with an RBI double. Gavin Lang was, again, look at Gavin Lang was 3 for 4 with a home run and 4 more RBIs. Jeremiah Killian added another home run, going 2 for 3 with 5 RBIs. Jacob Niles was 2 for 4 with the double. Bronner Jones was 2. Bronner Jones added a double. Collinsville let a late lead get away. They went to the bottom of the 7th, tied up at 14-14. They were able to score that run, that game-winning run on a wild pitch in the bottom of the 7th. So, again, they gave some runs away, but were able to pull that victory out in game 2 to complete the sweep over Elkmont. Gordo, as we mentioned, swept Glencoe. They gave the ball to Colin Pate in game 1. He went complete game, tossing all 7 innings, giving up 4 hits, no runs, and struck out 3. He also drove in 3 runs on a double. Rainer Russell was 2 for 3 with an RBI, and Bennett Troll was 2 for 4 as well. In game 2, Levi Brook got the win in relief. He went 3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. Rainer Russell, again, collected 2 hits and 4 at-bats, including 2 RBIs, and the 1-out single in the bottom of the 7th, driving in 2 for the walk-off win. They actually trailed 5-4 going to the bottom of the 7th. And Rainer Russell had that big 1-out single to drive in 2 runs for that 6-5 win on the road at Glencoe. And then McCain Robertson was a perfect 2 for 2, while JP Driver was 2 for 4 as well. Listen, man, we don't need to talk much about these two teams and what we think of both of them. You know, whoever I pick, I can't believe I'm picking against the other. These two teams have been they have absolutely dominated this year and have been, and they have been, you know, they've been dominant all year is what I'm trying to say. Collinsville, I think, jumped out to like a 15-1 record, 17-1 record. Gordo has just handled their business, won a very tough 3A Area 10. These are 2 titans of 3A this year. This is like a state championship level matchup. There is no doubts about it. But I'm going to slightly go with the home team. Give me the green wave of Gordo. That will be an electric atmosphere. That will be an atmosphere that Collins will not flinch when they walk into. This Collinsville team has been built over the last 2 years, playing a bunch of young guys. They've gotten older. It's still a junior-dominated class. They are a mature group. Collinsville will not flinch at that environment in Gordo, but I'm going to go Gordo by the slightest of margins. And for my Collinsville people out there, I had to make a pick. I hate to pick against you. I mean, this is a battle of titans here.
I will go Gordo as well. Gavin Lane can beat you single-handedly for Collinsville. I don't know if Gordo has they don't think they have a Gavin Lane where just one guy can just absolutely beat you. But Gordo they're just a machine. They're well coached and just they play fundamental baseball. You mentioned all those guys, and all those guys played in that deep run last year in their run to the 3A state championship where they finished as a runner-up. This is like you said, you built it up, big time matchup. Collinsville and even behind Gavin Lang, Jeremiah Killian, Mason McAteer, they have some weapons offensively and on the mound, led by Gavin Lang. But I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with Gordo here. Just feel like they're on a crash course to get back to the state finals to avenge their loss last year. But Collinsville, it's tough to go against either one of these teams. We'll both go with Gordo, and we'll see how it unfolds. Our next matchup, we have Oakman, who will be going on the road to number 4 Piedmont. Oakman comes in; they finished just outside the top 10 in 3A, they sit at 24-14. Piedmont comes in at 27-6. How both these teams got here last week, or how both these teams got here, starting for Oakman, they swept Weaver in round 1 going on the road. And then last week, they defeated Phil Campbell 2 out of 3 games. They lost game 1 5-1. And then the offense really took over. They won game 2 14-6 and game 3 10-4. In that game 2 win for Oakman, Ethan Hendon went 7 innings, gave up 2 earned run and struck out 6. He was also 2 for 5 with a double and 4 RBIs. Hampton Hall added 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. Brady Jones had a solo home run. Ledger Martin was 2 for 4 with 4 RBI with an RBI. Ethan Hutchison was 2 for 5, and Cam Watkins added 2 hits, one of those being a double, and drove in a run. In game 3, the deciding game 3, where they won 10-4, Ethan Hutchison went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, and struck out 5. Hampton Hall, once again, was 3 for 4 with 2 runs driven in. Ledger Martin had 2 hits and drove in a run. Skylar Driver was 2 for 3 and drove in 4 runs. And then Brady Jones added a triple for the Wildcats. For Piedmont last week, they swept Lauderdale County, and I think I picked Lauderdale County, and Piedmont controlled that series pretty much from the get-go. They won game 1. They won in round 1. They swept Vinemont at home, and then last week beat Lauderdale County 11-1 in 5 innings and 4-2 in game 2. In that game 1 win, Cole Austin went 4 innings. He gave up a hit, no earned runs, no walks, and struck out 2. William Hurst was 2 for 2 with an RBI. Benjamin Dipsey was 2 for 2 with an RBI. Eli Johnson had an RBI double, and Jackson Howard had a single and an RBI. In game 2, where it was 4-2, Lauderdale County was actually up 2-0 in the bottom of the 6th, and Piedmont scored 4. Cole Austin started on the bump in game 2. He went 3 1/3. Obviously, not throwing many pitches in game 1. He was able to come back and threw 3 1/3 in game 2. He got the no decision. William Hurst was 2 for 4 again with a double and an RBI. Alex Bass was 2 for 3. Eli Johnson added an RBI, added a single and 2 RBIs. He had the game tying 2 RBIs single in the bottom of the 6th, and then Jackson Howard followed him up with the go-ahead RBI single to give them the lead, which they got the final 3 outs in the 7th. Man, credit to and Coach Hall is about as good as it gets. Man, we saw them at the Small Town Showdown. They took their lumps playing some of the 3 of the best teams that were there. They just have continued to get better all season long. Coach Hall does a great job, and sitting at 24-14, they have really hit their stride down the stretch. But then you look at Piedmont at 27-6. They have been consistent all season long in 3A. They have quickly jumped up our polls. They finished at number 4. I'm going to go with Piedmont here at home. I'm sure it'll be a really good atmosphere. Piedmont is known for their sports, and baseball obviously has had plenty of success deep in the playoffs. I'm sure it'll be a great atmosphere. But Oakman, they won't be phased going into that environment. They'll be ready to play. I'm going to go with Piedmont here. Tough to go against an Oakman team that we both really like. Really like Coach Hall, but I'll go with Piedmont here to advance.
I think I may be wrong. I think Piedmont's football stadium is called the Field of Champions. That tells you how important winning is there. You said it, man. Oakman coming out of that 3A Area 10. Last year you had Gordo and Winfield that made it to the Final Four. We talked with Coach Hall before the season. He said, I think we've made some progress this year. We just don't know if it's good enough or not yet. Well, it was good enough to get them out of the area, and that one of the tougher 3A areas in the state, without question. And here they are sitting in the Elite 8, man. They've done a great job. And by the way, I also don't think you know this, Oakman's going to play the Alabama Small Town Showdown next year and in the Mississippi Small Town Showdown. So they're going to go over and get some of that Magnolia, get some of that over there.
Magnolia Madness.
That's right. Going to get some of that as well. So, yeah, man. Listen, I'm going to go Piedmont as well, and hate to pick against my good friend there, Coach Hall. But listen, what a run, and it very well could continue. I mean, absolutely. We don't want to rehash everything we say, but any team can win any of these series this week. There's no, David versus Goliath in anything in any of the 7 classifications. But I'm going to go Piedmont, man. They've been, that their body of work this year has been impressive, like it has in years past. That home field advantage plays a big key there as well. I'm going to go Piedmont to advance over an Oakman team that has steadily progressed all year long while playing mostly 9th graders. They got a couple seniors sprinkled in there, but 9th graders, 10th graders. That's a group to keep your eye on moving forward throughout the next few years. So that'll take us to the south part of the bracket, where we've got Thomasville. They advanced by defeating Providence Christian 2 out of 3 last week. Thomasville comes in right outside of our top 10 with a 21-9 record. They will be at Lee Scott Academy, who finished the season ranked number 5 with a 24-11 record. They defeated Thorsby last week in 2 games that we were at. They won 17-0 in 5 innings, and then were able to push across some late runs in game 2 to complete that sweep. Both of these teams also played in our small town showdown this past year. Let's take a look at how they got here from this week. As I said, Thomasville dropped game 1, 2-0, but in game 2, they gave the ball to Isaac Parton, whose name was on here last week as well. He gave him he went 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 10. And Coleman Pilkington was the offensive leader at the plate, going 3 for 4 in that 5-2 win. He was the only multi-hit guy that they had in the lineup in that 5-2 game 2 win. So that forced the deciding game 3, where Pilkington got the ball after 3 hits in game 2. And then he delivered in game 3 on the bump as well, going complete game, 7 innings with 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. Hunter Norwood collected 2 hits, and Jude J was a perfect 2 for 2 with an RBI and 2 doubles. So that's how Thomasville got there. Lee Scott Academy, as we said, they swept Thorsby last week in game 1. Braden Martin was dominant on the mound, going 4 innings, getting the win in that 5-inning game. He gave up 2 infield singles and eventually picked off one of those guys that got on base. He did not give up a run, did not walk anybody, and struck out 7. Preston Hughley, out of the leadoff spot, was 2 for 2 with a double and 2 RBIs. Harrison Snow had a fantastic offensive day, going 3 for 4 in game 1 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. And Ethan Hardy was 2 for 2 with a double and 4 RBIs. In game 2, they gave the ball to Barrett Cook. Barrett Cook went CG, 7 innings pitched, scattered 6 hits, 3 earned runs, and struck out 9. He was also 2 for 4 at the plate. Ethan Hardy was 2 for 3 with a bomb and 2 RBIs, and also looked really good at shortstop defensively. Luke Donaldson added a double, and Jack Fuquay added a triple as well in that game 2 5-3 win. Listen, we saw both of these teams at our small town showdown. We were impressed with both of them. Thomasville has been in and out of our rankings all year long. That is a blue collar team. That's a team that's just got some toughness about them. And they showed it last week, coming back from losing that game 1 and then winning 2 tight games in games 2 and 3. But I'm going to go with the Warriors go with the Warriors this week. Seeing them last week in person, really, really impressed with them. I mean, you go Braden Martin, Barrett Cook in game 1 and 2, and then you got Davis McIsaac that can go, and I'm sure they've got other good arms. McIsaac came in and threw the 5th of game 1, probably just to get some work, a little different slot. Ball gets up on you a little quicker than you think from that lower slot. And then offensively, man, I mean, listen, I've talked about Morris Hill's offensive approach in 2A. Let me tell you something. Lee Scott doesn't have an easy punch out in that lineup, man. I like this Lee Scott Academy team. Listen, there's a lot to be said, and Lee Scott and Glenwood both have a lot of work to do this week, but if they both hold serve, then we get a rematch from the same area teams next week. I don't know that that's going to happen, because Lee Scott's got a quality Thomasville team, and Glenwood's got to host Altamont, who we've talked about Altamont all year. But I like Lee Scott to advance this week. I think that is a solid team in all 3 facets of the game.
Yeah, well coached. They pitch it well, they defend well, and they got plenty of timely hitting last week, and that's a great recipe for success if you want to make a postseason run. And I think that's what Lee Scott is in the middle of right now. I'm going to go with Lee Scott Academy as well. Just the 1-2 punch, especially on the mound, is arguably is about as good as it gets in 3A with Braden Martin and Barrett Cook. And it just kind of in that game too. Lee Scott had a big 3 RBI double to take a lead late in the game, and then they turned it over in the top half and just bang, bang, bang. Wasn't facing adversity late in the game of losing a playoff game. They quickly struck back, and then Cook went out and got the final 3 outs. I think Lee Scott Academy. I think they get 2 out of 3 here. I'm going to go with the Warriors. Being at home as well helps. Give me Lee Scott to advance to the semifinals in 3A.
Is that today or tomorrow?
That's today.
Yeah. Okay.
So, our final matchup in 3A, you have number 8, the Altamont School. They'll be going on the road to top-ranked Glenwood. This is another series that starts today. Altamont comes in at 16-11, ranked at number 8, while Glenwood is 28-8, ranked at number 1. How both these teams got here? For the Altamont, they swept Hale County in round 1 and swept number 7 XL last week to advance. In that those 2 games for the Altamont last week, winning 5-2 and 8-7. In game 1, Aubrey Sanders on the mound went 6 1/3, gave up just 1 hit, no earned runs, and struck out 6. He also doubled. Cruz Canil had a single, and only 2 of the only 2 hits of the game. That was one of the only 2 hits of the game. And then Grant Hartman drove in 2 runs for the Altamont to push them to that 5-2 victory. In game 2, where they won 8-7, they actually trailed 6-5 in the top of the 6th and responded with 3 runs to take the lead in the late innings. Cruz Canil went 6 1/3. He gave up 4 earned runs, struck out 8, and drove in 2 runs. And then Angus Brantley got the final 2 outs, earning the save, not giving up a base runner for the Altamont. Grant Hartman, again, was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. Aubrey Sanders was 3 for 4 with a triple and an RBI. And then Miles Reed was 2 for 3 with an RBI. For Glenwood, they went on the road last week. They swept Montgomery Academy at home in round 1 and then went on the road last week to Wicksburg and went to 3 games. They won game 1 3-0, lost game 2 7-6, and then won the deciding game 3 17-3 in 5 innings. In game 1, Cooper Favors went CG, 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, and 8 strikeouts. Carter Judah was 2 for 3 with an RBI. Hudson Campbell drove in a run for the Gators to pace them to that 3-0 win. They lost game 2 7-6, and then in the Mercy Rule 17-3 win in game 3, Hudson Campbell was 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Cal Lawrence was 2 for 3 with a double and 3 RBIs. Cade Cox was a perfect 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs. Drake Clarity was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and then Asher Long added a double and 3 RBIs. These are two really, I think, offensive teams. We talked about Altamont and the Aubrey Sanders, Cruz Canil, Aiden Owens, who didn't show up as much in the box score with those players that I went through, but he's a big time force in the middle of their order. What's the shortstop's name? Nolan Connor.
Yeah, number 13. Yeah, Nolan Connor.
Which you've seen Altamont, I've seen Glenwood, the Altamont can swing it, and they're getting enough pitching to advance throughout the first 2 rounds. But I think I've seen Glenwood. They can swing it as well. They've got guys who can run it out of the park. They can play small ball, and I think Glenwood has a little bit more pitching, especially on the depth side. I'm going to go with Glenwood here, the defending 3A state champs. I like them to advance, and as they try to continue to defend their 3A state championship from last year, give me the Gators.
And I think they've been number 1 wire to wire. Not that means anything now, but we've talked about this Glenwood team, and I said it a few weeks ago. I don't think it is the absolute. I mean, we thought last year they were the clear-cut, unanimous, undisputed favorites to win it all.
Them and Prattville Christian.
Yeah, and Prattville Christian. That's right. And then this year Glenwood is one of those teams that can absolutely win it all. I don't think it's just a slam dunk, no doubt, or it's over. But they are absolutely one of the teams that we think can really win it all. If not, we wouldn't have them ranked number one all week or all year, excuse me. We were at the Lee Scott Academy game last week when word came out that Wicksburg had won game 2 and people were like surprised. And I remember one person came and said, man, what about Wicksburg? And I know I said it, and we weren't really surprised by that. I mean, we talked about Wicksburg and how good they were last week, and I think that just says a lot about Glenwood able to respond and just dominate that game 3, man. Altamont, went to see them at their first time I'd ever been at their place this year, and I said it afterwards, man, the top 5 or 6 of that order can really hit it. You got Aubrey Sanders and Cruz Canil on the bump. This could be a higher scoring. There could be some high offensive outputs in this series, but I think it's just too much Gators here. I like you think their pitching depth may come to fruition this week. I think that could be the difference in the series. I'm going to go with Glenwood, and again, Altamont is a solid team and could very well go on the road and get this done. So give me Glenwood as well. Our next matchup, our next classification, we bumped to 4A. We've got 4 really good matchups. Our first one in the north, you've got number 6 Alexandria. They come in at 26-10 after sweeping Fayette County by scores of 7-0 and 9-6. They are on the road at Central of Florence, who come in with a record of 25-12. They swept Plainview this week by scores of 7-0 and 7-4. We have talked about these 2 teams all year long, and especially Alexandria in the back half of the season, because that's a pretty young team at Alexandria, and they have shown so much progress this year, and now they are right where they want to be. Let's look at let's look at Alexandria in their sweep of Fayette County this past week. Sawyer Coggins went complete game, 7 innings, a no-hitter, did not give up a hit, no runs, no walks. He hit 2 batters and struck out 5. He was also 2 for 2 at the plate. So again, no hitter in game 1 for Sawyer Coggins. Cole Wheeler was 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs. Jeremiah Heathcock was 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs as well in that 7-0 win in game 1. In game 2, Emmett Waldrop was 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs on a triple. Jeremiah Heathcock, again with the bat, was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And Cameron Johnson went 2 innings, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout as they were able to sweep Fayette County 9-6. Central Florence, they defeated Plainview 7-0 and 7-4. Reed Bruce went CG on the mound in game 1 in that shutout, giving up 4 hits, struck out 2. He was also 1 for 1 with a double, and he also walked 3 times. Elijah Lambert was 2 for 3 with a double and an RBI, while Mason Myers added a single and collecting 2 RBIs. In game 2, Reed Bruce once again with the bat collected 2 hits and an RBI. Elijah Lambert with another double and an RBI. Cole Wilcoxon with a hit and an RBI, and Colin Barnes with an RBI single as well in that 7-4 win. Man, these are 2 teams that I think are very similar. I think that Central Florence, Alexandria has been that team that is, I've already mentioned this, they have progressed all year long. That is a really, really young team. I mean, they are young. They are going to be around. They're going to be around for the next few years. Alexandria won it. Was it 2 years ago? Yes. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. They won it 2 years ago. And here they are again in the Elite Eight. What's new? Alexandria deep in the playoffs. Coach Welch does a great job on the road at Central Florence, coming out of that 4A area that we talked about all year with the likes of Deschler, Brooks, and some other teams. Man, this is a coin flip to me. I mean, it legitimately is a coin flip. I'll be watching this with a lot of interest. I don't know who's going to win, but I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Central Florence, man, and it pains me not to take Alexandria, the Valley Cubs. Love what they've done this year, but I'm going to go with that home field. I think Central Florence is a team they've gotten in, and now I think they're going to be a tough out, as is Alexandria. But give me the home field Central Florence. Give me home field Central Florence.
Yeah, both these teams who have Alexandria, like you said, won it 2 years ago. Central Florence, I think, made it to the quarterfinals. I can't remember if they made it to the semis or not, but last year. And Reed Bruce, I mean, like Gavin Lang for Collinsville, Reed Bruce can pretty much beat you single handedly. He's got the ability to leave the park each time he steps up to the plate, and he's been a real ace for them, for Central Florence on the mound. But Alexandria, Sawyer Coggins, a freshman, junior future gamer last week, big time performance, no hitter in 7 innings. I'm gonna go. We'll split this. I'll go Valley Cubs. Give me Alexandria. I think these are two evenly matched teams that have both teams who have played well all season long. I'll go with Alexandria, and we'll split this one. And here we go, right here. You got to hear it from us. Tracy Evans says Westbrook Deshler will be the best in all the playoffs. Madison County fan here. You are right, Tracy. This is a big time matchup. Number 1 versus number 2 in Class 4A. You have top-ranked Deshler going on the road to Westbrook Christian, number 2. Deshler comes in at 36-6. Westbrook Christian sits at 22-9. How both these teams got here for Deshler? They swept Good Hope in round 1 and swept Cordova in round 2 by scores of 11-3 and 5-0. In game 1, Dylan Olive went 7 innings, allowed 3 runs, and struck out 9. He was also 2 for 2. Brady McKinney was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Camden Fuller was 3 for 4 with a double and an RBI. Garrett Reed was 1 for 3 with 2 runs driven in, and Austin King was 1 for 2 and drove in a pair of runs to pace them to the 11-3 win. And then in game 2, winning 5-0, Garrett Reed, Sanford recruit, went 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 13 strikeouts. Bryce Thornton went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, and Austin King once again had a big hit, adding a double and an RBI for Deshler to lead them to the 5-0 win to advance them to the quarterfinals. For Westbrook Christian, another week playing another big-time team. They swept Cherokee County in round 1, and then last week, number 2 versus number 3, Westbrook Christian versus Madison County. Westbrook Christian won game 1 1-0, in game 2 3-0. In game 1, winning 1-0. Emmett Daniels, southpaw, he went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, no runs, and struck out 10. He was also 2 for 3 at the plate. Rob Brody Johnson, Brody Blevins, and Jacob Maples both added a single. It was 0-0 up until the top of the 6th, and Westbrook Christian was able to score on an error, and Emmett Daniel got them to the finish line to finish that game and win 1-0. In game 2, Brody Johnson got the ball in the 3-0 victory. He went 7 innings, allowed 2 hits, no runs, and struck out 13. Will Chadwick was 1 for 2 with an RBI. Brody Blevins was 2 for 3 with a double, and Dalton Helms was 2 for 3. You've got Deshler, the defending 4A state champs from last year, who brought back pretty much everything and added more key pieces to this year's roster. And you have Westbrook Christian, led by Emmett Daniel, Brody Johnson, Brody Blevins, a team that finished as the runner-up 2 years ago, and a lot of that team is back from that team 2 years ago. These are 2 experienced, 2 veteran teams, 2 talented teams, and this is the top matchup across all classes in the quarterfinals. Number 1 versus number 2. I'll go Deshler. I will go with the defending state champs, the top-ranked team in 4A. But this Westbrook Christian team is really good. This is, talent on. I don't think there's one team that has a clear advantage on either side of the ball. Pitching, hitting, defense, whatever it is. These are two really evenly matched teams. But I'm going to go with Deshler here to take 2 out of 3 in what's going to be a big-time series in 4A.
And one that I plan to be at tomorrow. They were supposed to play today, obviously, but the rain got them. I think the biggest question here is how many runs are going to be scored this week? I mean, this is going to be every run matters. I mean, this is going to be small ball and early in the game at every opportunity that you have, because you're not going to have many chances to score off any of these arms that are throwing this week. This is another battle of the Titans, I guess you can call it. Let me finish this. Sorry. This is one where, again, I love both of these teams. We've got them 1 and 2 for a reason. I mean, it's not one that you want to have to pick against either one of them, but I can't believe I'm doing this because I love that Deschler team. Saw them earlier against Brooks, and when I walked up, man, it was just apparent that this team has got it. I mean, they return just about every piece from last year. I'm going to go Westbrook Christian. I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, I love Deschler. And I've told people that, I've told people all year that if you gave me the field or Deschler to win it, who would you take? I'd take Deschler, but I don't know, man, just something those 2 shutouts last week. I mean, that says a lot, for Westbrook Christian. And I know Deschler only gave up 3 runs, and I know I've seen Garrett Reed, and I can tell you this, I'd hate to get in the box against Garrett Reed, all those different arm angles he attacks you with. But he's not all they got. They got some more. Again, you're right. This is the matchup across the state. We're going to split it. Give me Westbrook. Not comfortable with it. Deschler people, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. But again, we're going to split it. I think it's probably right that we split this one. So that'll get us to the South in 4A. In the South, you've got our first matchup. You've got number 7 Oak Grove. They are 23-12 after sweeping Trinity Presbyterian.
We ought to send Colin to that Westbrook Christian game. You can meet up with his buddy.
There was a big miscommunication last week with one of our scouts at the Westbrook Christian game. It all worked out good, but I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, there was a big miscommunication with one of our scouts, and it got worked out. There's no issues.
It's funny.
Yeah, it was really funny. Oak Grove did sweep Trinity Presbyterian last week by scores of 3-0 and 3-2. And guess what? I picked Trinity Presbyterian. I think maybe you did too, Austin. I may be wrong.
Yeah.
But I picked Trinity. I was wrong last week. They will be on the road at number 5. So you've got number 5 versus number 7. You've got Opp, who come in with a record of 25-6. They swept Bayside Academy last week by scores of 6-4 and 10-4. Let's see how both these teams got here. We mentioned Oak Grove with that sweep of Trinity Presbyterian. Wiley Hicks went CG, going all 7 innings, only giving up 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and struck out 8. He also was 1 for 2 with the double. Brawley Burns was 1 for 2 with the home run and 2 RBIs, and he broke open a 0-0 tie into the bottom of the 5th. So those 2 RBIs gave Oak Grove a 2-0 lead there in the 5th. Which eventually that turned out to be enough. They won 3-0. And then in game 2, another tightly contested game. Dalton Troncalli went 1 for 2 with an RBI. Carson Griffiths added an RBI single as well, while Ryan Foster, Jackson Salter, and Wiley Hicks combined on the mound. Wiley Hicks came back. Ryan Foster with 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, and a strikeout, while Jackson Salter went 4 innings. Gave up 2 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 1. And then Wiley Hicks went 1 inning, did not give up a hit, a run, or walk, and struck out 1. So Wiley Hicks did a little bit of everything in both games for Oak Grove last week. Speaking of Opp and their sweep of Bayside Academy, in game 1, it was tied up 3-3 in the 6th, and they scored 3 in the top of the 6th to break open that 3-3 tie, eventually going on to win 6-4. Porter Nelson went all 7 innings, giving up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. He also added 2 hits, including a double and 2 RBIs. Will Jackson was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and drove in 3 runs as well. In that game 2 10-4 win, Ty Wigington, went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits and an earned run while striking out 4. Dawson Peacock came in behind him, going 1 2/3 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. Parker Burgess added 2 RBIs on a single. Grady Patterson added an RBI on a double, and Luke Sanders drove in 2 runs, while Porter Nelson and Ty Wigington also drove in a run in that 10-4 win. Man, this is one I've gone back and forth on. Last week, I went with Trinity over Oak Grove. Last week, I picked Opp over Bayside. So I was 1-1 in these two teams' games this week. You know, this is another top 7 matchup, 5-7. It gets harder every week for us. We've said that several times. I love Opp. That's a blue collar team, man. That's a blue collar team. But I think Oak Grove made me a believer last week with that sweep of Trinity and only allowing 2 runs against a formidable offensive opponent. I'm going to go with, I guess, what would be an upset on the road and ranked 7 versus ranked 5th. I'm going to go Oak Grove here, and I don't have a reason other to say maybe I learned my lesson last week. I think Oak Grove made it Final Four, Elite 8 last year. They made a deep run. I don't know why, but I'm going to go Oak Grove, man.
Yeah, Oak Grove made it to the Final Four, got beat by Bibb County in like a 2-hour doubleheader. I'm going to go with Opp here. We'll split this one. The Bobcats, they were one of the first series to kick off last week, so I got to watch them on that game 1 on the NFHS network, and just watching them. They've got some good looking players led by Porter Nelson, who's done it all on the mound and at the plate. Dawson Peacock as well as a guy who came to our Birmingham preseason ID. They've got other pieces. You talked about Will Jackson, Ty Wigington, Grady Patterson, their backstop. But Oak Grove, those Wiley Hicks, Brawley Burns, Dalton Troncalli, those are guys who returned from last year's semifinal appearance, and they're on a mission to avenge that Final Four defeat and advance to the state finals. This is a tough test for both of these teams because these are 2 really talented teams. I'll go with Opp here being at home, and we'll split this matchup in 4A. Our last matchup in 4A, we have number 4 Bibb County going on the road to Houston Academy. Bibb County comes in at 22-11. Houston Academy is at 21-10. How both these teams got here? Bibb County swept or took 2 out of 3 against Tallahassee in round 1, and then they swept Orange Beach in round 2 last week. And what was one of the more exciting series across the state? That was one we were tracking very closely. They won game 1 5-4 in 11 innings. I think they played 4 innings and then got some rain and postponed it to suspended it to the next day. And then Bibb County is able to hang on to the 5-4 win that went 11 innings. In that game 1 win, Landon Rich was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. He had the walk-off sacrifice fly. I don't think it was a walk-off. He had the sacrifice fly that gave them the go-ahead run. In the top of the 11th, Braden Cash got the start. He went 3 innings, no runs, no earned runs, no hits, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. And he threw the first 3 innings for the Bobcats, or not for the Bobcats, for the Choctaws. And before that rain came, and those were the only 3 innings that he threw, and they were still able to win. And that kind of speaks to their pitching depth. But Cash also went 3 for 6 at the plate in the leadoff spot, I think, for Bibb County in that game 1 win. Ethan McMillan got the ball in the final. Once that play resumed in game 1, he went 8 innings, gave up 2 runs, 2 walks, and struck out 4. Cage Watkins went 2 for 5. Rylan Lopez was 1 for 4 with a big 2 RBI double, and Scooter Sanders added a RBI single early in that contest. In game 2, they won 1-0. Ethan McMillan was the hero. He was 2 for 3 and had the walk-off RBI single in the bottom of the 7th. That game was 0-0 going to the bottom of the 7th, and Ethan McMillan walked it off. What an outing for Cage Watkins. Went 7 innings, threw a 7-inning no-hitter. He walked 2, obviously gave up no runs and struck out 6. And then Braden Cash, once again, was 3 for 4 with a double, setting the tone for that offense. For Houston Academy, they defeated New Brockton in round 1, and then last week they swept Munford 4-2 and 4-1. In game 1, Ty Morris went 7 innings, gave up no earned runs, walked 2 and struck out 6. He was also 2 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBIs. Griffin Bush was 1 for 3 with an RBI, and Harrison Avery was 1 for 2 with an RBI. In game 2, winning 4-1, Whit Price went 7 innings, gave up 1 run, and struck out 6. He was also 1 for 2 with an RBI. Harrison Malinowski added a solo shot, and Ty Morris once again was 1 for 3 and drove in 2 runs. It seems like Ty Morris, week in, week out, is having big time performances. I think he was the top hitting performance for 4A last week, and he's their ace. One of their top bats in that order, driving in runs at a premium right now. But I'm going to go with Bibb County here. I think the Choctaws, finishing as the runner-up last year in Class 4A, they've got their sights set to make it back. They, graduated some of that team last year, but they've got plenty of pieces back, led by Braden Cash, Ethan McMillan, and Cage Watkins. I just think when you think of Bibb County, they are tough, hard-nosed, well-coached. Coach May does a great job there. I'm going to go with Bibb County to go on the road. Houston Academy, Ty Morris, Harrison Malinowski are playing well right now, but I'm going to go with Bibb County.
I'm going to go with the Choctaws as well. And again, this on the road, again, another lengthy trip for Bibb County after going to Orange Beach and now having to go to the Dothan area. Another lengthy trip. But, I'll say this, you mentioned it, and I don't want to just repeat, but, those arms that Bibb County has really make it difficult to score a bunch of runs. I mean, obviously nobody, when weather affects series, the common fan sometimes has no clue what coaches are thinking. But I mean, you look at Bibb County, Braden Cash was burned when that weather delay happened. He'd already thrown over 40 pitches or 50 pitches. So they come back with Ethan McMillan, who obviously can do it all with the bat and on the mound. And then in game 2, you go with Cage Watkins, who absolutely just absolutely shoved in game 2. But the Bibb County coaches, I know, had in the back of their mind that if we go to game 3 on Monday, then Cash only threw 52 or 54 pitches, however many it was. He's eligible to come back on Monday. So they had him sitting in their back pocket. And I just, those arms are difficult to score off of. Now, I do think that Houston Academy can absolutely manufacture some runs and score some runs. Being at home will help them significantly. They've been in tight games with those 2 tight games against Munford. But, that Bibb County pitching can be a separator. I'm going to go with the Choctaws here as well, like you. And you know what? Those 4A matchups we just talked about, I don't know if there's 4 better matchups in any class throughout the entire state. Those are 4 big-time matchups. So I think we split with several of them. So that will jump us to 5A, where it's just more of the same, difficult picks, difficult matchups, things that we expect to be highly competitive. Our first matchup, you've got Madison Academy, who sit at 25-12, and that is absolutely a team that has improved over the year. I mean, Coach Presley, he inherited a group that had not played much this year on the varsity level due to having a senior-laden team last year and a Final Four run. Or I believe American Christian beat them. I think it was Final Four, Elite Eight. I can't remember what it was. But that team has gotten much better. They were ranked in our top 10 for part of the season. They finished right outside the top 10. They have a 25-12 record after sweeping Boaz 4-3 and 5-0. They will be on the road at number 9 Moody, who come in at 25-7 after sweeping a very hot Sipsey Valley team 4-0 and 6-2. I think the first thing that you see for both of these teams is evident. Not a lot of runs scored and 2 tight games. I think that's what you're going to get again this week. Let's take a look at Madison Academy in game 1. Chase Harris Lambert went 6 innings, got the win. He only gave up 1 earned run and struck out 4. Drew Holder came in for the save, going the final 2/3 of an inning, gave up 1 hit, no runs, no walks while striking out 1. Pearson Blue had 2 hits and an RBI. CJ Whetstone had 2 hits, and Truett Austin, I think he's a sophomore, maybe a freshman. I believe he's a sophomore. Drove in 2 runs in that 4-3 win. In game 2, Weston Todd. And if you don't know, this is a big piece back for the Mustangs. He's been on the shelf for a while. Weston Todd is back on the bump. And they get him back at the absolute right time when they need him. Weston Todd went 4 innings, getting the win, gave up 1 hit, no runs, and struck out 5. Drew Holder got his second save of the day, going the final 3 innings. Gave up 4 hits, no runs, and struck out 3 in that 5-0 win. Grady Moore had 2 doubles and drove in 3 of the 5 runs. Ashton Osborne was 2 for 2, and Truett Austin added a double and another RBI. So Truett Austin drove in 3 runs over the 2 games. That's how they swept a ranked Boaz team. Moody swept Sipsey Valley, as we mentioned, a team that had really made some noise across the state. Moody took care of business. A solid 1-2 punch on the bump. Game 1, Bryant Harden, Shelton State recruit. Complete game, 7 innings pitched, gave up 3 hits, no runs, did not walk anyone, and struck out 7. Marshall Teofilo, one of those has to be right. Marshall, please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Had 3 hits, including a double and 2 RBIs, and JP Sands was a perfect 3 for 3 at the plate as well. In game 2, another complete game, this one from JB Leatherwood, a Gadsden State recruit, went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 3. He also had 3 hits at the plate to go with an RBI. Will Dutton was 2 for 3 with an RBI. Levi Crow was 2 for 4, and Jaden Hicks added a triple for the Blue Devils. This one is going to be tight. This one's going to be low scoring. This one is going to be well played on both sides. Both of these teams are well coached. They are fundamentally sound. They're not going to beat themselves. You've got a Moody team that they finished runner-up to Lincoln. Is that right? Was it Lincoln?
Yeah.
Yeah, they finished runner-up in their area. Finished runner-up in their area, but that was a very tough area. They split with Lincoln. Madison Academy also finished runner-up in their area to East Limestone. So these are 2 teams that were in tough areas. That has helped them to prepare for this, and it's just business as usual for both of them. Man, this is a tough pick. I just made my pick. I just wrote it in on my sheet. Didn't know who I was going to go with. You said it last week. It's hard to go against Madison Academy in playoffs because of their success over the years. Last week I went with Boaz. It pains me to say this, but I'm going to go with Moody again this week, being at home. Listen, Chase Harris Lambert, Weston Todd, Drew Holder. Boy, those are some quality arms on the bump. But, man, you throw Bryant Harden and J.B. Leatherwood and what they did last week, it's going to be hard to score off them. By the slightest, I'm going to go Moody.
Yep. Pitching kind of headlines this matchup. And, just I think Moody's arms stack up really well. And they have – that's kind of the main reason why they're – one of the big reasons why they're 25-7. They have plenty of depth. They have, I think, 5 or 6 players who I think I said it last week, but going to play at the next level, including those top 2 arms. Will Dutton has already had some big time hits in the playoffs. Marshall Teofilo, JP Sands, a bunch of those guys have really helped lead the way offensively. I'm going to go Moody, but you mentioned it, Weston Todd coming back. That's a guy who can, if he is on, he can beat anybody, and certainly had a great outing last week. Madison Academy's big win over Boaz. I'm going to go with Moody as well, but this will be a big time matchup in 5A, and
Really?
will be one to see.
You're not going to give any motivation, man?
That's right. Yeah, no manufactured motivation this week. Our last matchup in the North, we have number 2 American Christian going on the road to East Limestone. American Christian comes in at 32-10. East Limestone, who finished just outside the top 10, they come in at 25-9. How both these teams got here: American Christian swept John Carroll Catholic in round 1 and swept Russellville last week by scores of 10-1 and 8-2. In that game to 1 win, Drew Jackson went 6 innings, sophomore lefty, 6 innings, gave up just 1 hit, 1 run, and struck out 11. Just seems to be a common theme for him. Just scattering 1 or 2 or 3 hits, 1 run, and double-digit punch-outs. He has really grown into a big-time ace for them. Hunter Elmore was 3 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Hudson McComb was 3 for 4 with a triple and 4 runs driven in. Jalen Crocker was 2 for 4, drove in a run, and Britton Taft was 2 for 3 in that 10-1 win. In game 2, Hunter Elmore went CG on the mound, going 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 10. Sophomore BJ Garth was added a double and an RBI. Drew Jackson was 2 for 3 with a double. Britton Taft was 2 for 2 with an RBI, and Clayton Rice added a double and 2 RBIs. For
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't want somebody to reach out to us. You said that Crocker was 2 for 4. He was actually 2 for 2 there. I think you just misread it. So I just didn't want to get any hate text or anything. So yeah. Sorry.
For East Limestone, they swept ARAB in round 1, and then took 2 out of 3 against Lincoln last week. 3 really close games. They won game 1 4-3, lost game 2 3-2, and then won game 3 4-0. In that game 1 4-3 win, Charlie Eslick went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits, 3 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. Jacob Brooks came in behind him and got the save, going 1 inning and striking out 1. Brody Coker was 2 for 3, and then sophomore catcher Landon Compton added a single and 2 RBIs. They lost game 2 3-2, and then in game 3 winning 4-0. Colby Davis went 7 innings, giving up no runs and struck out 4. Brody Coker once again was 2 for 3, and Cade Parham was added a double and an RBI. This is an East Limestone team that has, I don't want to say quietly because you've seen them, you've talked about how much you like them, but a little bit, maybe we've had them a little bit under the radar, which you've said how much you like them throughout the course of the season, but they finished on the outside of the top 10. But there were plenty of teams in addition to East Limestone outside of the top 10 who we thought could make a real run. And it looks like East Limestone has grown into one of those teams. American Christian all season long, they've been 1 or 2 in our 5A poll. I'm going to go with American Christian, and just last year's the defending 5A state champs. Drew Jackson being a real-time ace on the mound for them as a sophomore. And then behind them, you have Hunter Elmore. BJ Garth has been a big-time relief piece for them. Caleb McCausland. Jalen Crocker can throw as well. I'm going to go with American Christian, but this will be a series to follow. I know I'll be certainly following this series closely. I'm going to go with American Christian.
Yeah, man, it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not going to make it a big surprise. I'm going American Christian as well. But I said it, the podcast after I saw East Limestone at Scottsboro, how much I like that team. They have several players from a deep basketball playoff run we've already talked about. Love that sophomore catcher, Landon Compton. Chris Fitz, third baseman there at East Limestone. They've got other pieces there as well. I'm not just trying to single those guys out. Coach Brown does a great job. Really good dude. He does a great job. That is just a team that's just went about their business all year. And I think this is the biggest thing to me, man. What about giving the ball to a guy in game 3 and he goes CG and only gives up 2 hits and no runs, man. I mean, that is amazing to me that you've got a game 3 starter that he turns out, it gives you that outing. But man, we've talked about it all year. American Christian, I just feel like they're on a crash course to get to Jacksonville. They may not. I mean, absolutely they may not. They've got a tough test this week, and if they're fortunate enough to win, they've got another tough test next week. There's nothing that is a given. We have found that out over the last couple of weeks, some surprises across the state. And this would not be a surprise because East Limestone, that is a hard-nosed team. That's a team that won't flinch. They know what they're facing, and they're up for the challenge. But I am going to go with American Christian, which sends us to the south part of the state, where we've got a top 3 matchup, man. I mean, this is another big time matchup. I mean, it's crazy how many times we've said that today. But you've got number 3, Demopolis. They come in at 28-6. They took 2 or 3 from Hopeville last week and 3 really tight games. I know the third one got close late, but they defeated Hopeville 5-3. Hopeville came back and won game 2. Is that right? Yeah, came back and won game 2 6-5, and then they were able to win game 3 7-4. All right. Austin, double check that. Yeah, Demopolis won game 1. Yeah, Demopolis won game 1. Okay, yeah, I thought I had made a mistake. Faith Academy, they've been number 1 or number 2 all year long. They come in at 25-7 after sweeping Headland last week. But that Headland, that sweep was, it's not, sometimes when you see sweeps, it's like, okay, they dominated. And make no mistake, man, we think Faith Academy is really good. And if you don't think that, then there's something wrong, because we've given them their praises all year long. This is nothing directed at Faith Academy. This is a compliment at Headland. We said it last week. Faith Academy better be ready to go, because that is a really good team at Headland. And that series turned out to be exactly what we thought it might be. Faith Academy, they're a consistent power, and rightfully so. Headland, that is a 5A team that you better take notice of, because there's a lot of young pieces there, and that team is going to be around for a while. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But let's go back to Demopolis. In game one, they trailed 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th, and they were able to score 3 and ended up winning. Give them that 5-3 margin. So they trailed late to Hopeville and scored 3 in the bottom of the 6th. Jack Pritchett went all 7 innings on the mound, gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs while striking out 7. Colgrove was 2 for 3 with a game-tying double and an RBI. And Braxton Weiss was a perfect 2 for 2 with 2 runs driven in. And then Jake Powell added a double, but it was a big double. It drove in the go-ahead run there in the 6th to give them that 5-3 winning margin. As we mentioned, but in game 3, they gave the ball to J.W. McAlpin. J.W. went 6 2/3 on the mound, getting the win. And this one I think was 7-0, I believe, at one point, and Hopewell got back in it late in the last inning. McAlpin struck out 6 and gave up 4 earned runs. Jake Powell was 2 for 4 with a home run and a run driven in. Bryant Dees had a home run with 2 RBIs, and then Colton Colgrove added 3 RBIs on a home run as well. So Demopolis played the long ball there in game 3 for that 7-4 game 3 deciding win. Faith Academy, we just talked about it, was on the road at Headland. They won game 1 7-4 in 8 innings. That was a little different. My days get mixed up. Was it Friday they started that game? I think it was. Yes, yeah, I think so. They started it on Friday. They played through some persistent rain. It got worse and worse. Headland was able to tie it up late, forcing extra innings. The rain got worse. The field got worse. They delayed the game there. They postponed it until Saturday, where they came back and finished up. And Faith Academy jumped on them for 3 runs in the 8th and ended up winning that matchup 7-4 in 8 innings. Game 1, Latham Body went 3 innings, getting the win in relief. Only gave up 2 hits and 1 earned run while striking out 2. Eli Quinley collected multiple hits, driving in a run. Colin Hall was 2 for 5 with an RBI. Grayson Finch was 2 for 4 with a triple and an RBI. So that was that was into Saturday, where the Faith Academy was able to win that game in 8 innings. In game 2, Christian Freeman got the ball, turning in a complete game masterpiece, going all 7 innings, 1 earned run, no walks, and 7 strikeouts. Colin Hall again with the bat after that 2 for 5 performance in game 1 was 3 for 3 with an RBI. Auburn recruit Brody Wilson had a double after giving them factored into the no decision in game 1, but giving them another quality star on the mound, added a double in game 2. And Carlos Ortiz added a single and 2 RBIs in that deciding game 2. Man, listen, it's a top 3 matchup. And listen, Demopolis has some depth in that offensive lineup. They've got multiple guys that can leave the yard. They're getting, Jack Pritchett is a bona fide one. Then you back him up, with McAlpin and other arms that they have. But this Faith Academy team, I'm going with the Rams this week. It seems as though that, Faith Academy is getting everybody's best, and they're going to get Demopolis's best this week. And Demopolis's best is every bit good enough to win this series. Every bit good enough to win this series. This is an absolute toss-up, but we've talked Faith Academy all year long. It starts on the bump with that depth in arms. I'm going to go with the Rams this week to win a low-scoring and 2 or 3 really low-scoring, tight ball games that, if I'm Faith Academy, I said it last week, if I'm Faith Academy, you better be heads up for Headland. Well, I'm going to say the same thing again this week. If I'm Faith Academy, Demopolis has every bit of my attention. And I'm not saying they don't, because I know Coach Seymour will have those guys dialed in. This will be a good one, but I'm going to side with the Rams this week again.
Yeah, I will go Faith Academy as well. But Demopolis, if anybody can go toe-to-toe with pitching depth, it's Demopolis. They've got guys who obviously – and they flexed that. I mean, that was kind of what helped get them to that Game 3 win. I mean, just the depth on the mound and the ability to run the ball out of the ballpark offensively. They've got guys that hit for power up and down that lineup. They're going to face. They'll face. I mean, they've faced quality competition all season long, but they're going to play. They're going to face some really good arms this week. I'm going to go Faith Academy. It just seems like, obviously have them at number 1. Faith Academy has been pegged as one of, if not the top contenders in 5A all season long, but Demopolis has been right up there as well. We've been really high on them with the senior a senior laden team. Jack Pritchett, all the guys that you went through, the Colgrove brothers, Braxton Weiss, Jake Powell, Bryant Dees. This is going to be a really good series, probably the best one, easily the best one in 5A, probably the second best, or one that can rival Westbrook Christian and Deshler as one of the top series all week. I'm going to go Faith Academy, but it could definitely see this going either way, but I'll lean on Faith Academy as well and see how it unfolds. Our last matchup in 5A, we have number 6 Briarwood Christian going on the road to Elmore County. Briarwood Christian comes in at 26-9. Elmore County is at 22-14. How both of these teams got here: Briarwood Christian in round 1 swept Jemison, and then last week swept a Charles Henderson team that had been playing really well as of late. They won game 1 14-0 in 5 innings, and then leaned on their pitching in game 2, winning 3-1. In game 1, Houston Hartsfield went the distance, 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, and 7 strikeouts. He also was 3 for 4 with a double and 3 RBIs at the plate. Ivan Hand was 2 for 3 with a triple and 4 RBIs. Charles Dedman was 2 for 2 and drove in 2 runs. Cameron Schroeder was 3 for 3 with an RBI. Jamison Barnes added a double and an RBI. And then Parker Daniels added a double and 2 RBIs in that 14-0 win. In game 2, winning 3-1, it was Ivan Hand kind of leading the way. He went 6 innings on the mound, gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 9. He also added a double and an RBI at the plate. For Elmore County, they swept Marbury in round 1, and then took 2 out of 3 on the road at number 4 St. Paul's Episcopal in one of the upsets of the week. In that game 1, they won 4-2. They lost game 2 12-4, and then won game 3 5-4. In that game 1 win, Shelton Darnell went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run, and struck out 7. He also added a big 3-run home run to help push them out front. Hunter Denham also added a double for them as well. They lost game 2 12-4, and then in game 3 won 5-4. Gage Davis went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, and struck out 1. He also was 2 for 4, while Sawyer Dutton, the freshman left-handed bat, was 2 for 4 with a double and 4 RBIs. This is a matchup where Elmore County, Coach Dismukes has done a great job getting this team rolling down the stretch. Going down on the road, beating a team like St. Paul's, who reached the state finals last year on the road. That was a big time statement. And I know, we talked after, he said that was one of the toughest environments that he's ever had to go to and win at.
I think he said the toughest environment.
Yeah. Yep. And they're going to be at home this week. They're going to play Briarwood Christian, who's as talented as St. Paul's Episcopal. Man, I've got a 10 game gap. I'm going to go with Elmore County. Give me Elmore County at home to win. I got to make up some ground somehow. I'm going to go with Elmore County. I think that they, obviously last week, that's a huge win. I think they're rolling. Coach Dismukes does a great job, as do both of these coaches. But I'll go Elmore County. Give me Elmore County.
How'd you know I was going to go Briarwood? Just figured.
Yeah.
Well, I went back and forth on this. And I didn't pick Elmore County last week. And because we don't pick based on who our friends are and who coaches we pick on what we truly think. And Coach Heaps does a great job as well. He's a friend of mine. We spoke with Coach Dismukes, as you mentioned. He talked about the environment they were in. I know he was jacked up for that, but again, this is going to be another highly competitive series, just like Elmore County was just in, but this one is back at home. And, Shelton Darnell gives them a bona fide guy on the bump. I know Briarwood Christian. I don't know all the ins and outs, but Ivan Hand was not throwing for a while. He's back now. That is a shot in the arm for Briarwood Christian. And this is going to be, Elmore County's hard-nosed, and Briarwood Christian is as well. Fundamentally sound, two teams going at it. We've already mentioned both are well coached. We're going to split this one. I'm going to go with Briarwood this week, but I think it could be very tricky on the road at Elmore County. So we're going to split that one, and I think that's probably a good one to split. And that'll get us through 5A. In 6A, we'll start in the north as always. You've got number 8 Hartselle. They come in at 27-11. They will be on the road at Pell City, who sit right outside the top 10. We had Pell City ranked for much of the season. Both of these teams played in our kickoff classic to get the season cranked up. Pell City comes in at 18-17 after a big weekend. We'll talk about them in just a second. Hartselle, we prepped this matchup last week as well on our show. Hartselle was able to defeat Coleman 5-4 in 8 innings, and we were in a different part of the state, and we were absolutely following this one pitch by pitch. Coleman was able to win 5-4 game 1 in 8 innings, and then was able to stretch that lead out in game 2 and win rather convincingly 8-1 in game 2 to advance to this week's matchup. In game 1, Cruz Baker was 2 for 3 with a double and a home run, and with 3 RBIs. And he also had possibly the biggest swing of the season so far for Hartselle with a game-tying home run in the bottom of the 7th. I believe there was 1 out. Maybe wrong. Carter Lee added 2 hits, and Kane Falciani had a game-winning sac fly to right field, short right field, in the bottom of the 8th to give Hartselle that 5-4 win in 8 innings. Barrett McKelvey, a sophomore arm, went 5 1/3, gave up 7 hits, 3 runs, and struck out 4. Asher Dopel, it's playoff time in Hartselle. You can expect to see Asher Dopel's name mentioned. He came in, finished it out, going 2 2/3. He got the win in relief. Only gave up 2 hits in those 2+ innings, 1 run and 1 strikeout. So that was how they won 5-4 in 8 innings. In game 2, Connor Stiles got the win, going 6 innings on the bump, scattering 2 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 2. Connor Bradley came in behind him for 1 innings pitched and closed the door in that 8-1 win. Cole Miles was 1 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs, and that was an absolute laser that he hit out to left. Braden Weathers added a double with 3 RBIs. Cruz Baker, another RBI, and Carter Lee added to the total with an RBI for the Tigers as well. Pell City, man, you talked about that Elmore County St. Paul's matchup last week. This was another one that was this was a big statement for Pell City, defeating Mountain Brook last week. They dropped. Now listen to these scores, and this is what playoff baseball is like. They dropped game 1 to Mountain Brook 2-0. They were able to come back and win games 2 and 3 by scores of 4-2 and 3-2. That is playoff baseball at its best. Everybody living on one pitch, the next pitch. In game 2, Carter Perry went 6 innings on the mound, gave up 1 hit, no runs, and struck out 12. He also added 2 hits, including an RBI double. Parker Rice was 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then Channing Beavers, Jordan Perry, Jacob Burgos, and Kason Smith all added a hit for the Panthers as they won 4-2, setting up that deciding game 3. In game 3, Jacob Burgos back on it. He was 1 for 3 with a double and with 3 RBIs, and that's not just 3 RBIs. That was a bases clearing double, that gave them that 3-2 lead, which was the eventual final score.
Only hit of the game.
It was the only hit of the game. That's correct. Yes. But you just said it. Timely hitting is part of winning playoff series, and that's exactly what Burgos did there. Mac Nunley, in 2 innings on the mound, gave up a hit, struck out 3. Cohen Hovey went 4 2/3 on the mound, scattering 4 hits with 5 strikeouts. And Richard Smith went a third of an inning, did not give up a hit, run, or walk, and struck out the only hitter that he faced. Man, what a series win for Pell City, defeating Mountain Brook there. And let's just look. Pell City has been up and down throughout the season, but I will say this: they have played an extraordinarily hard schedule. Much like we talked about Fayetteville in 1A, Pell City sits there at 18-17. But you know what? The only thing that matters right now is they're in the Elite Eight. It doesn't matter if they're 2-40 overall. Their record doesn't mean anything. They have scheduled accordingly to prepare them for this, and it has paid dividends. This week, it's much like last week. Pell City faces a Hartselle team that is very good, much like the Mountain Brook team. Being at home, I think Pell City has a legitimate chance to win this series and get to the Final Four. I think this is an absolute toss-up. This is a 50-50 shot. I'm going to go with the Hartselle Tigers, and I'm not comfortable doing so. That environment at Pell City will be wild. Pell City is playing with a ton of confidence, and rightfully so. They are seasoned for this, but I think you flip it over and you look at Hartselle. They've played the same type of schedule that Pell City has. These are 2 seasoned ball clubs going at it. I think it's going to be 2 or 3 really low scoring, runs at a premium, tightly contested contests. But by the slightest of margin, I'm going to go Hartselle.
Yeah, I'm going to go Hartselle as well. Last week, that series, getting over that hump. It's not going to get any easier this week, having to go on the road to a Pell City team who just kind of seems like the same story as last year. Just gets hot at the right time, plays a difficult schedule and gets hot at the right time. And what did they make the Final Four of the I think they made it to the Elite Eight last year. May have made a deal. No, they played Gardendale. Hartselle played Gardendale in the semis last year.
That's correct. Yes.
But Pell City, is back where they were last year. I'm going to go Hartselle as well. That's a big time series win last week for Pell City. I'm going to have to go Hartselle as well. So give me the Tigers here to advance to the semis once again. Our next matchup, we have number 5 Homewood going on the road to number 7 Hazel Green. These are 2 teams who have already eclipsed the 30-win mark on their season. Homewood comes in at 32-6. Hazel Green's at 31-10. how both these teams got here. Hazel Green took 2 out of 3 against Athens in round 1 and then swept Oxford last week. Homewood swept Huffman in round 1 and swept Fort Payne last week. Looking at that series for Homewood last week against Fort Payne, they won 7-1 in game 1 and 4-1 in game 2. In game 1, Ben Roberts played the hero for Homewood. He went 7 innings, gave up 1 run, and struck out 5 on the mound, and then also added a 2-for-4 performance with a home run and 4 RBIs at the plate. George Brockwell was also 3-for-4 with a double and 2 RBIs to help lead the Patriots to that game 1 win. And then in game 2, the 4-1 win, Cooper Sane went 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. And then Levi Nikolai came in to throw the final 2 innings. He gave up 3 hits, but allowed no earned runs, no walks, and struck out 3. He also added a double at the plate. And then Colin Crump, Jack Bland, James Eady, and Cooper Mullins, all 4 of those had a single. For Hazel Green last week, they swept Oxford in game 1. They won 5-4 in 8 innings. In game 2, won 7-3. In that game 1 win, Hayden Shell was 3-for-3 with a double and an RBI. Jackson Crippen had an RBI. Colton Bentley was 2-for-4 with 2 RBIs. And then on the mound, Colton Clark went 6 2/3 through 5, gave up 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. And then Ty Hunter came in and tossed the final inning, gave up no hits, no runs, no walks, and struck out 1. That set the stage for left-handed bat Lakin Swaim. He had the game-winning RBI single in the bottom of the 8th to push the Trojans to that 5-4 win. In game 2, where they won 7-3, Colton Clark was 3-for-4 with a home run and 2 RBIs. Bryce Zimmerman was 1-for-3 with a double and an RBI. Andrew Beaverson drove in a run on a hit, as did Hayden Shell and Blaine White. Lakin Swaim once again had a double. And then on the mound, Elijah Steele went 5 1/3, gave up 2 earned runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. And then again, Ty Hunter came in relief through an inning and 2/3, gave up no hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. This is another series like that, Faith Academy, Demopolis, Westbrook Christian, and Deschler series. This is also in that upper tier, upper echelon of series this week in the Elite 8. Number 5 at number 7. I think this is a series where I think Colin plans to be at. So we'll be here covering this game. Excited to follow. I know I'll be following on Game Changer. Expect it to be a great atmosphere, great crowd at Hazel Green. Homewood. We had both of these coaches on in our preseason podcast, and both obviously, we had high expectations for both of these teams, and here they are meeting up in the Elite 8 with the spot in the semifinals up for grabs. I'm going to go. And I'm sure you're going to say the same thing. You don't feel good picking either team one way or another. I'm going to go with Homewood here. Going on the road here. No particular reason. You don't feel good about picking one of these teams. Homewood, senior laden, that feel like, last year where they got beat by Hartselle in the late rounds, feel like they're on a crash course to potentially get back and avenge that loss. But they got a big time test this week with Hazel Green. Hazel Green's going to be at home. It's a tough matchup. I'm going to go. I'll go with Homewood and shut up.
Yeah. If you've ever been to the Green late in the playoffs, it's a different atmosphere. These two teams played on a Saturday earlier this year at Bob Jones, and Homewood won rather convincingly. We've talked about it. We don't put a ton of stock in games where maybe, somebody didn't throw better arms, all that. But these two teams, my point is these two teams are familiar with each other. And I have said it all year. I know it was after I saw Homewood beat Hoover 4-0. And I talked to Coach Hall on the field after the game and told him how impressed I was with his team. There wasn't a lot of, and this was a compliment. There wasn't a lot of it was just business as usual, business approach. I love how they play defense. Their pitching depth is legit. I love their offensive lineup, man. Homewood and credit to Coach Hall and not in an arrogant way or a conceited way, but he did not shy away early in the season from expectations. On our podcast, he said, this is a group, this is a year that we've looked forward to. And he's gotten them to the Elite Eight and possibly Final Four into a state championship. Nobody knows how the future is going to unfold. But listen, this Homewood team is legit. They've been legit all year. This Hazel Green team is legit, and they have been legit all year as well. I've talked about their pitching depth. It rivals as good as anybody in the state. Their offensive lineup is deep. Lakin Swain wasn't even hitting 4 or 5 weeks ago. Now he comes up with a huge game-winning hit for them. He's seeing it very well. I think he's got their leading average in the playoffs, I believe. I may be mistaken there, but I know he's really producing in the playoffs. This is going to be a wild scene in Hazel Green. This is going to be two really good teams going at it. And you said it, I'm not comfortable taking either one of them. So I'm going to take one, shut up, and move on. I'm going to go Hazel Green Trojans. Don't know why, but give me Hazel Green. We'll split that one. So that'll take us to the southern part of the bracket where you have an interesting matchup. You got a top 10 matchup. You've got number 2 Spain Park at 31-7. They will be on the road at number 10 Gulf Shores. The Dolphins come in at 26-12 and have really been playing good baseball the last few weeks. Spain Park, they swept Benjamin Russell this past week. They won game 1 2-1, and then they were able to pull away and win game 2 14-0 in 6 innings. In game 1, Benjamin Russell tied it at 1-1 in the top of the 7th, but then Spain Park was able to score on a pass ball in the bottom of the 7th, giving them that 2-0 win, and being able to advance, or being able to get to game 2 with a chance to advance to the Elite Eight. Houston Holmes went 6 1/3, gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, and struck out 4. Slade Bounds was 2 for 3 with a bomb and an RBI. Connor Grebb was added a double. Michael Johnson, playing shortstop now, was 2 for 3. Ryan Paquette added a single as well. In that, there wasn't a lot of hitting. That was a 2-1 win for Spain Park. In game 2, Hudson Franks went 4 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs, and struck out 8. Connor Grebb added a double and 3 RBIs. Evan Taylor has been swinging it well of late, was 1 for 1 with 2 RBIs. Will Jacobson had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Brody Bragg, a single and an RBI. Barrett Price, a triple and 2 RBIs. Ryan Paquette, had 3 hits and 2 RBIs. And Brody Smith and Nathan Bird each had a scoreless innings pitch on the bump for that 6-inning win. Before I get off track, man, have you noticed Barrett Price, man? He's been blowing up with some big-time Division I football offers, man, like Ole Miss and other people. Yeah. So he's an athletic sophomore there for the Jaguars, also a star on the gridiron. Gulf Shores.
I think.
What's that?
I think basketball, too.
He's a baller, too. That's right. Just an athlete. That's right. Gulf Shores was able to win 2 of 3 from Stanhope Elmore, but the way they did it to me was more incredible. They won game 1 by a score of 10-3. And then I was game-changing it, and I think at one point they were maybe up 6-2 in game 2.
They're up 6-0.
6-0 in game 2.
After
and I
2
was
innings.
like, yeah, and how many innings?
2.
And through 2. And I was like, okay, looks like Gulf Shores is going to advance with the sweep. So I get busy and I go back, check my game changer, and I see 20-6. And I'm like, holy cow, what happened? Well, I went and looked and saw how Stanhope scored so many runs. The final score in game 2 was 20-7. And listen, I will be perfectly honest with you. I don't mind saying this on air. My first thought was there's no way Gulf Shores can come back from that. After giving up 20 runs, man, that plays with your mind a little bit. But listen, that made it more impressive that the Dolphins were able to respond and win game 3, 5-3 in 9 innings. In game 1, Trey Moore went 3 for 4 with a double and 4 RBIs. Price Stevens had a double and 2 RBIs. Jacob O'Brien had 2 hits, including an RBI double. John William Nix went 5 innings on the bump, giving up 3 hits, striking out 9 while adding an RBI single. Carter Jones had an RBI single, and Woods McElroy and Trenton Beebe each added a scoreless frame on the bump in that 10-3 win. We talked about game 2 and how it went south for them. So how did they respond? Game 3, they won 5-3 in 9 innings. John Luke Stevens, 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs, and 4 strikeouts. Trendon Beebe through the final 5 innings, or I can't remember. Did John Luke start or Trendon start? Do you remember?
John Luke, Trendon finished it.
Yeah, Trendon came in on the back end going 5 innings, only gave up 1 hit over 5 innings, no runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts, man. What a relief appearance from Trendon Beebe. 1 hit over 5 innings. Jacob O'Brien added a home run and 2 RBIs. Carter Jones was a perfect 4 for 4. And Price Stevens was 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and the go-ahead sac fly in the top of the 9th as Gulf Shores won 5-3 to advance to this week. Man, I'm telling you, that was as impressive as anything, responding from getting your doors blown off in game 2. I mean, you know, you worry about the moxie and you worry about the mental side of your players. Kudos to Coach Jackson, his staff, getting his team ready to come back and winning that game 3. I mean, that
well,
was
even adding to your point, they played game 1 and then it came a washout.
That's right.
So it's not like they played 2 and then they had a night to rest on it and get reset. They had to go right back. That game 2 and 3 was on the same day.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. This week, man, I'm going to go with the Jaguars. We've said it all year. Gulf Shores, blue collar. I mean, they're hard nosed. They get after it. They're not going to back down from anybody. John Luke Stevens can beat anybody across the state on any day. I'm just telling you, he can beat anybody across the state. This is going to be a battle. This is going to be a war. Both of these teams are they carry themselves pretty similar. They both are just no nonsense. Get after it, compete, fight your tail off. I like both of them. I think there might just be a little bit too much firepower with the Jaguars. I'm going to go Spain Park on the road in a tough environment against a quality team. I'm going to go Spain Park to advance.
Yeah, I'm going to go Spain Park as well. But Gulf Shores will be at home this week, having to go to Stanhope Elmore last week, where not many teams have gone to and won a playoff series. And you just talked about the way and the manner that they did it. Man, Gulf Shores sitting here at 26-12. I remember talking to Coach Jackson in the South Alabama Showdown, where they first, even the whole regular season, but they played a difficult schedule. And for them to be at 26-12 right now is a testament to how well that they've just continued to get better all season long and play, continue to improve. I think I agree. Maybe a little too much firepower for Spain Park. Connor Grebb in that leadoff spot has had a monster junior season, and Evan Taylor, Barrett Price has been a big time contributor at the bottom of the order, and Slade Bounds is had a big solo home run early in that game 1 last week, and is starting to see it well. Hudson Frank, Houston Holmes has kind of solidified himself as one of the top arms in that rotation, and then Hudson Frank's slowly working back. Looks like he's throwing it well. I'm going to go with Spain Park here, but think this series could come down to the wire. Gulf Shores has played the likes of some big time teams, especially out of state, so they'll be prepared for this matchup. But I'm going to go with Spain Park to go on the road into a hostile environment. Give me the Jags. Our last matchup in the South and in 6A. You have Chelsea, who will be on the road at number 1 Northridge, top-ranked Northridge. Chelsea, who were top 5 for the first half of the season, fell out of the polls. They finished just outside the top 10. They sit at 19-8. Northridge, for the majority of the back half of the season, have been ranked at number 1 in 6A. They sit at 32-7. How both these teams got here for Chelsea. In round 1, they swept Hueytown on the road. And then last week, they won a thrilling 3-game series over Pike Road, winning game 1 5-3, losing game 2 4-1, and then in game 3, winning 2-0. In that game 1 win, they trailed 3-2, going to the bottom of the 6th and pushed across 3 runs. Aiden Craven, who was 3 for 4 with a triple and 3 RBIs, had the game-tying RBI single in the bottom of the 6th, and then Avery Floyd had a 2 for 3 performance and had the go-ahead 2 RBI double in that bottom of the 6th after Aiden Craven tied it up to push them to the 5-3 victory. On the mound, Grant Hill went 7 innings, gave up 3 runs and struck out 4 with just 1 walk. He got beat 4-1 in game 2 and then turned around in game 3. And maybe the biggest, I don't know, Aidenson striking out 17, but in just, situational spots, I don't think there's as big of a performance on the mound as Silas Osborne last week in game 3 in that 2-0 win. He went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, no runs, just 1 walk, and struck out 9. And then Aiden Craven once again had a big series for the Hornets in the leadoff spot. He was 1 for 2, had a double and an RBI. For Northridge, this was the another series that leaked into Monday. I know it was a crazy week for Northridge, traveling back and forth.
Hey, if any Northridge fans are out there, did Northridge come back Sunday or Saturday night after the game and go back Monday, or did they just stay the whole time down there? I was curious about that. Sorry, Austin.
Yeah, I don't know if they went back Sunday night, or do you drive that whole drive Monday morning? And
I think I saw where they just stayed. I may be wrong. So
it's a long trip. But ultimately, Northridge was able to win that series over McGill Tulane. And McGill Tulane,
Coach Metters, we stayed.
there you go.
Because they went down Wednesday night. Mason Elam just texted me. We stayed.
Yeah. We had Mason Elam on an intern call on the way down to the beat, man.
On the bus, yeah.
They beat McGill Tulane. They lost game 1 4-3 in 9 innings, and then turned around and outscored McGill Tulane 28-0. They won game 2 10-0 in 5 innings, and then game 3 18-0 in 5 innings. In game 2, John Pruitt, sophomore, went 2 for 4 with a double and 4 RBIs. Evan Malone was 2 for 2 and drove in 2. And then Wyatt Rath was 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs. And then Evan Champion on the mound went 5 innings, gave up just 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, and struck out 8. And then that set the stage for that game 3 on Monday. In game 3, Wyatt Rath had a big 2 for 4 performance with a home run and 2 RBIs. Mason Elam again was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. John Pruitt was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. Grayson Cannon drove in a run. Cooper Obradovich was 2 for 2 with an RBI double. Charlie Wilson had a hit and an RBI. And then Ford Cole was 2 for 3 with a double and 2 RBIs. And then on the mound, Ellis Tucker went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. And I think that's just kind of the theme talking about Northridge all season long, and really both of these teams.
I think Wyatt Rath was a grand slam.
Okay, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But both of these teams really rely on their pitching depth. Chelsea, we've pegged them especially the last 2 years, have been as deep as anybody. I think Northridge can rival that with Evan Malone on the mound in game 1, Champion in game 2, Ellis Tucker, and then Matthew Weir and has also been a key arm for them. But then on the other side, Chelsea with Grant Hill, Jackson Price, Silas Osborne, I think Luke Neal. This is going to be runs should be at a premium this series. But I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Northridge here. I think they do just enough offensively. I think they have a little bit more firepower. Mason Elam, Evan Malone, Wyatt Rath, at the top half of that order, and then really no easy outs. 1 through 9 for Northridge. Give me the Jags here. What's going to be a fun series to follow. Runs should be at a premium in this series, but I'm going to go with Northridge.
2 more teams that played in our kickoff classic to get the season cranked up, man. And I said it last week on the podcast. Chelsea is a scary team right now. They have put it all together at the right time. I don't want to go back and rehash everything you said about the pitching matchups. We both agree pitching this week's at a premium on both sides of it. Chelsea's got some offensive firepower, but I think that Northridge lineup, man, that is a murderer's road to go through, 1 through 9. I mean, I said this to you early in the season. We know Mason. I think Mason had 4 or 5 hits in one game down this week, but you've got John Pruitt is a baller, man. I love watching him compete. And they're filled with those guys up and down the lineup. Chelsea, Aiden Craven, top of that order, can handle the barrel to all fields.
Bryant
Wisdom, absolutely. We didn't talk about him. He's one of the top young players in the state. This is going to be this will be an interesting matchup. And again, this is what the Elite Eight is supposed to be like. Two elite teams going at it, and either one of them can win it without a doubt. I'm like you. I'm going Northridge. I've been a big fan of Northridge all year from the first time we saw them this year, first weekend. Also a fan of Chelsea, man. Those arms can, I'm not going to say they can completely shut down a team like Northridge, but those arms can absolutely control opposing offenses to a degree and give their offense a chance to score enough runs to win. But I think in the end, it's just too much Northridge. They got them at home. So give me Northridge to advance to the Final Four for our last spot in 6A. So that'll take us to 7A, where we are making pretty good time this week, Austin. 7A, man, you got a couple. You got 4 interesting matchups. Our first one in the North, you've got the Warriors of Thompson, who finished ranked number 2. They come in at 24-17. Again, this is 2 teams that were in our kickoff classic. You've got number 2 Thompson, again 24-7. They come off a sweep of Sparkman. They won 12-1 in 5 innings and 5-1 in game 2. They will be at Bob Jones. Bob Jones was ranked for the majority of our season, I don't want to use the word, maybe scuffled a little bit at times. And they finished right outside of our top 10. They come in with a record of 27-17 after we've said this about 3 series, but Bob Jones had one of the bigger wins across the state this past week, no doubt about it, going on the road and beating number 1 Vestavia Hills. They won game 1 4-3, lost game 2 7-1, and then were able to win the deciding game 3 by a score of 6-1. I mean, that was as big as it gets. Let's talk about these 2 teams. In game 1 for Sparkman, Ashton Blair went 5 innings. That was a complete game. Gave up no earned runs and struck out 6. Cade Brantley was 2 for 2 with the home run and 4 RBIs. Cooper Craycraft had a hit and 3 RBIs. Cooper Fuller, 2 hits, including a home run and 2 RBIs. Noah Quang had a double with 2 RBIs. And so that was enough for them to win 12-1 in game 1. In game 2, Alabama recruit Wyatt Williams took the mound and went all 7 innings, scattering 6 hits, giving up a single run on 13 punchouts. Aiden DeRamus had a single and 2 RBIs, and then Noah Quang was 1 for 2 with a double. And that was in that 5-1 game 2 win. For Bob Jones, we've already talked about that impressive road series win this week over number 1 Vestavia. How did they accomplish that? In game 1, they trailed 3-0 in the 5th. They scored 1 in the 6th. Scored 1 in the 5th. I'm sorry, scored 1 in the 5th. Scored 1 in the 6th, and then scored 2 in the 7th. Josh Wilhide went all 7 innings on the mound, scattering 5 hits, giving up 1 earned run, and struck out 8. He also had 2 hits, including a home run to straightaway center field. The big blow was in the 7th by an 8th grader. G.G. Weiss was 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. And again, that aforementioned go-ahead 2 RBI single in the top of the 7th that gave the Patriots the 4-3 lead. Will Hyde went out in the bottom of the 7th, and that was the final score. In game 1, they dropped game 2 7-1, and in game 3, gave the ball to sophomore arm Hudson Olive, who turned in a gem going all 7 innings, giving up 6 hits, 1 run, and struck out 6. Tate Dunn had 2 hits and 2 RBIs, and Graham Seagraves had a hit and an RBI as well, as Bob Jones I think it was like 3-1, 4-1. They stretched it out late. Again, just a huge win for Bob Jones. And I do have to go back, and this was probably seen on Twitter from Bob Jones's Twitter account, but we talked about this last week, and I've got to give props to my co-partner here, Austin Sharp, said if anybody can do it, it's Bob Jones, and they did. And you know what? And now that's over with.
Now you got number 2.
That's right. And that's the thing for Bob Jones, and it won't be an issue whatsoever. that Vestavia Hills, as great of a series win as it was, it is over. All right. It is now time to look ahead to this week, which they've already done that. And they've got number 2 Thompson coming in. And let me tell you something. You talk about a postseason rivalry. This is the picture of a postseason rivalry. These teams have played and played multiple times with a ton at stake deep in the postseason, and it seems like it never disappoints. And I don't think this week is going to disappoint as well. You do know that Bob Jones will have it packed out there in Madison. You know that Thompson has been there before multiple times at Bob Jones with their postseason lives on the line. They know what they're going into. It's just a big time matchup. I don't know why, because I think that Bob Jones's, I think Thompson's overall season has been a tremendous success. And I think I think the big part is they've had a lot of success this year, but I think Bob Jones might be, I think Bob Jones thinks this is our time. We're finally here. Let's go. I don't know why, but I'm going to go Thompson. I'm going to go Thompson, and I don't know why. I don't know why. So,
yeah, I think these kind of series, Bob Jones finished as the runner-up. They kind of, don't want to say scuffled to the finish. They dropped some games kind of down towards the finish line, getting into area play and into the playoffs. But this is kind of I think they thrive on series like the series last week against Vestavia, and then this series with Thompson. I think they want to play these teams. I think they welcome, they want to play number 1 and number 2, and being at Bob Jones, I think is an underrated piece to this. How many? I think feels like every time that they match up, it's at Bob Jones.
It does. I don't know that they've been at Thompson. I could be wrong. Yeah,
I don't think they have.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Bob, and I had Thompson. Man, Coach Perez after the kickoff classic.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get you.
And I picked Thompson as my state champions to start the season, and man, I'm gonna go against it. I'm gonna go with Bob Jones. It just feels like I don't want to say a perfect storm, but just I don't know. Just this matchup feels a little bit like Bob Jones. I don't know. Maybe and listen, if Bob Jones wins and I picked it right, if Thompson wins, and they've got a chance to go prove me right, win the state championship, which they very well could. I'm going to go with Bob Jones here. And it's another series where it's, you don't feel comfortable picking either of the teams. Because Bob Jones finished outside the top 10 in our rankings, but we both knew, Bob Jones gets into the playoffs. It's, you know what you're going to get each round.
On paper, it looks like a no-doubter.
Yeah.
On paper, but it is not a no-doubter.
Yeah. Our next matchup in the North, we have number 5, Hewitt-Trussville, going on the road to number 4, Tuscaloosa County, the defending 7A state champs. A top 5 matchup in 7A. Hewitt comes in at 28-7. Tuscaloosa County is at 26-11. How both these teams got here, starting with Hewitt-Trussville. They swept James Clemens on the road last week in round 1. They won game 1, 12-1 in 6 innings, and then won game 2, 3-2. In game 1, winning 12-1 in that 6th inning, mercy rule win. Hudson Mitchell, sophomore, went the distance, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and struck out 8. He also was 1 for 3 with an RBI. Wes Hardy, catcher, went 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs. Sawyer Jackson was 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and then Blake Bales was 1 for 3 with an RBI double to help lead them to that 12-1 win. And then in game 2, I think James Clemens was up 2-1 late into that game. And then on the mound, Kel McIntosh got the ball. He went 6 1/3 through 7 innings, 2 runs, and struck out 6. He was also 2 for 3 with an RBI. And then Jace Riggin, Florida State recruit, came on and got the final 2 outs in the 7th, one of those being for a strikeout. At the plate, he was also 2 for 3 with an RBI. He had the game-tying single. in the bottom of the 5 to knot it up at 2-2. And then behind him, Hudson Mitchell came up with the bases loaded and drew a bases loaded walk to give them the 3-2 win. And the Huskies were able to close it out and sweep that series in advance. For Tuscaloosa County last week, they swept Grissom, going on the road, winning game 1 6-0 and game 2 3-1. In game 1, Tate Pettis threw a complete game, 3 innings, no runs, no walks, and 8 strikeouts. Ryan Nichols was 2 for 3 with a double and 2 RBIs. Ford Trawick was 2 for 3 with an RBI, and Brooks Malone added an RBI single to win 6-0. And then in game 2, Brooks Malone went 3 1/3, gave up 2 hits, no earned runs, walked 4 but struck out 2. He also was 2 for 3 and drove in a run, while Gibbs White kind of bridged it to the end. He went 2 2/3, went 3 hits, gave up 3 hits, no runs, and struck out 5. And then Ford Trawick came in from shortstop and threw the final inning and struck out all 3 hitters he faced. Ryan Nichols once again drove in a run on a solo home run, and Dylan Carlisle added a run on an RBI single. This is another matchup where we got 2 evenly matched teams.
Yeah.
Hudson Mitchell, Kel McIntosh, and Jace Riggin kind of leading that rotation. And then it's no issue, no secret. Tuscaloosa County has got plenty of depth on the mound. Tate Pettis in game 1, and then those 3 arms with Malone, Gibbs White, Ford Trawick behind him. Jashawn Moten can throw. They've got other pieces as well. And then offensively, led by Ryan Nichols last week, they've got guys who can have continued to generate runs for that pitching staff that hasn't been giving up many runs. But the same can be said about Hewitt Trussell as well, with those 3 arms and 1 through 9 being tough to strike out. They can generate runs and have played well all season long. I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go Tuscaloosa County here. I'm going to lean more on the pitch and depth, and just they've been there last year with that historic run, getting to the state championship and winning it. But Hewitt Trussell, same can be said about them. Storied program, and that they've certainly been there and done that. But I'm going to go Tuscaloosa County. And in another matchup where it's toss-up, I'm going to go with the Wildcats.
I'm going to go Tuscaloosa County as well, by the slightest of margins. The reason being, I think it's going to be such a tough. I think it's going to be a evenly matchup between 2 legit teams. Obviously, we've got them 4 and 5. Both of these teams are coming from areas where we've talked about all year that they were pushed. They were basically in the state playoffs once area began, because it was a dogfight throughout. And, both these teams are legitimate, can win the whole thing. I mean, we've talked about that ad nauseum. Don't want to go too much in depth about it. Hewitt Trussell, they started off their first area series. They were behind the 8 ball a little bit to begin with. I think they were 0-2 after the first week of area season. I may be wrong, but then they have had their backs against the wall, basically playing in must-win situations, and they've come through, and they deserve to be right where they are. Tuscaloosa County, the same thing, and that other tough Birmingham, Tuscaloosa area. I'm like you. I think there might be a little bit more depth at Tuscaloosa County on the mound. Now, those frontline guys at Hewitt absolutely can beat anybody. And I saw Hudson Mitchell early this year against Vestavia was really good. This can go either way. There's no doubt about it. Tuscaloosa County, they just got that aura about them, that a lot like Bob Jones, that it's our time. This is where we're supposed to be. And that home field advantage, I think, could play a factor here. I'm going to go like you. I'm going to go Tuscaloosa County as well. And again, I could very well be 0-2 in my first 2 7A picks. I'm just telling you, it's uncomfortable making these picks because these are evenly matched teams. But we do have to pick one, and so we both picked it, and we'll ride with it. See what happens. So now we'll move to the South in 7A, where you've got a couple teams finished outside the top 10. You've got Dothan. They come in with a record of 14-20. Again, who cares? Outside the top 10, they finished. They swept Bryant this week by scores of 5-1 and 4-3. Central Phoenix City, that's a team that finished outside the top 10 as well.
They finished at 8.
Oh, my bad. Then that's 100% on me. Central Phoenix City was number 8. My apologies to the Red Devils. Central Phoenix City was 26-16. Really impressive road win this week for the Red Devils, going down to Mobile and beating Fairhope in 2 out of 3 games. They dropped game 1 by a score of 2-1. They came back and was able, and listen, again, this is playoff baseball. They drop a 2-1 game. They win game 2, 7-6, and then win game 3, 3-1. So, man, they have been in the fire already and advanced. Let's take a look at Dothan and how they got here. In game 1, Braddock Jenkins went 7 innings on the bump, gave up 1 hit, and struck out 8. He also added a double and 2 RBIs at the plate. Perrin Gomez was 2 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBIs. Graham Davis added a double and an RBI, and Emmanuel Davis collected 2 hits, and one of those was a double. In game 2, as I mentioned, they won 4-3. They trailed 3-2, and they scored 2 in the bottom of the 6th to take that 4-3 lead, which was the eventual game-ending score. They had 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. Carter Richardson had an RBI bunt to tie it, and then Ben Koskry had an RBI bunt single to give them the lead. So again, they played some small ball there to push across those 2 runs in the 6th to give them that 4-3 lead. Edmund Cody went 5 innings on the mound, and Edmund Cody can absolutely shove it. Cody went 5 innings on the mound, struck out 3, gave up 1 earned run, and struck out 3, gave up 3 hits over 5 innings of relief to get the win there. Just a solid performance out of the bullpen. As we talked about with Central Phoenix City, and I have to share this real quick. Last Thursday, I spoke with Coach Kehoe through text, and we were just talking. And I said, good luck this week. And he said, it's going to take a minor miracle. And I said, that's right up Central Phoenix City's alley. I said, that's what y'all love to do. And they went and did it. In game 2, again, they dropped that game 1, 2-1. In game 2, Jalen Carter went 2 for 3 with a double and 2 RBIs. Carter Gilly was a perfect 2 for 2 at the plate. He also drove in a run. Hayden Jones was 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs. And Keegan Smith was also 1 for 2 and 2 RBIs. So that set up that game deciding game 3. And in game 3, Hayden Jones was the star offensively as he went 2 for 3 with a double and an early home run that gave them the lead, which obviously drove in a run with that home run. And then on the bump, Logan Wallace went 4 innings, scattered 4 hits, gave up 1 run. And then Tyler Caldwell came in on the back end to shut things down, going 3 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs, and only struck out and struck out 1, but forced a ton of soft contact and depended on his defense behind him. And they absolutely made the plays behind him. Listen, man, this is 2 teams that got big first round wins. Dothan going and beating Bryant in 2 games was important. I picked against them. I picked against Dothan last week. They proved me wrong. Kudos to them. Again, as I've mentioned, we could care less who wins. We're not here to give added motivation or to give bulletin board material. We're just 2 guys that are here talking baseball, trying to bring a light to high school baseball. But I said it last week, man, this is typical Central Phoenix City. They love to grind. They love to get after it. They love to compete. And that's exactly what they did last week. This is another notorious school for deep playoff runs in 7A. And Central Phoenix City is always a player out of the southern part of the state in 7A. And I think that they're, again, yet another player this year. I'm going to go with the Red Devils to take this series. I just like how they carry themselves. Dothan, impressive handling business. And again, Dothan can pitch it. Dothan can absolutely pitch it. So again, I don't see this. This will be an intriguing series to watch, but I'm gonna go with Central Phoenix City. And like you said, I'm gonna shut up. I blabbered enough.
I'm going to go with the Red Devils as well, being at home. I picked them last week against Fairhope, and And it was a grind. It was and this is another series that ended on Monday. So we'll see how I think it gets started on Friday. So shouldn't factor too much into guys coming back, bouncing back on the mound. But yeah, just the way things that you said, Central Phoenix City, this is where they show up each year in the playoffs, and they're tough, hard-nosed, well-coached. Coach Kehoe just continues to reel off deep playoff runs, and a big win on the road last week. They're at home this week, but man, kudos to Dothan going on the road at Alma Bryant. And you said it, with Braddock Jenkins, big time outing, Perrin Gomez and Graham Davis have been big time run producers in the middle of that order. Trip Benton, in addition to Edmund Cody, they have three really good starting pitchers, and just some other pieces as well. But just feels like Central Phoenix City, like these are series that they just find ways to gut out. And I'm going to go with the Red Devils being at home. So we'll both go with Central and see how it unfolds. Our last matchup of the Sweet 16, we have number 6 Auburn, and this is one of those biggest matchups, one of the top 4 biggest matchups in the state. One that's been we've been keyed on and kind of predicting and seeing how if both of these teams eventually meet up, and here they are. Number 6 Auburn going on the road to number 3 Enterprise. Auburn enters this matchup at 27-11. Enterprise comes in with an impressive 32-5 record. How both these teams got here for Auburn: they swept Daphne last week, winning 2-1 and 10-5. And game 1, Ethan Wade got the ball, went 4 innings, gave up no earned runs, no walks, and 5 strikeouts. And then behind him, Max Autry through the final 3 innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs, walked 1, and struck out 3. And it was Daphne 1-0 in the bottom of the 5th, 2 outs. Angelo Santiago comes up, hits a double, 2-out double, and then Bryson Shepard comes up and just hits an absolute 2-run bomb to right center field. And that was the story for the Tigers, and it's kind of been the story for them all year long. That top 3-4 of that order are about as good as it gets, and can rival any other top half of the order in the state. Bryson Shepard has been a big-time run producer, as has Angelo Santiago in that leadoff spot. So that's how they won game 1. And then in game 2, it was Bryson Shepard again going 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, a home run, and 6 RBIs. One of those was that home run was a grand slam. And then Brady Sack went 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI. For Enterprise, they swept Baker at home. They won 6-5 and 6-1. In game 1, Baker ended up tying it 5-5 in the top of the 7th, but Enterprise walked it off in the bottom of the 7th on an error. Brady Kavanaugh, southpaw, went 5 innings on the mound, gave up no earned runs, scattered 3 hits, walked 6, but struck out 4. He was also 1 for 2 at the plate. Drew Danner was 2 for 4 and drove in 2 runs, while Walker Turner added a hit and 2 RBIs. In game 2, Braden Barnes went 5 1/3, gave up 3 hits, 1 run, walked 4, and struck out 2. Walker Turner again was 2 for 4 with a solo home run. Davis Shiver went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Brody Rhodes was 3 for 4 with an RBI. Eli Richardson drove in a run on a single, and Drew Danner once again drove in a run on a single. These have been Auburn at 6. I think when they're playing their A game, they are up with the top teams in 7A. These are again two more teams that have met up the last few years in the deep rounds of the playoffs, and it's been really good series. I'm going to go and even just expand. Lawson Hare has been a key piece for them, throwing game 2 and being a middle of the order bat for them. Brady Sack as well, if it gets to a game 3 or whatever the situation is. They've got other pieces out of that bullpen that can get outs for them. I'm going to go with Auburn. I think again, if Auburn plays their best, I think Auburn is tough to beat, especially when they're clicking on offense. They've got the arms to limit opposing offenses, and they're going to face a good offense this week. I'm going to go with Auburn. Give me the Tigers to go on the road and advance to the semis, and what's going to be another big time matchup in the state.
Well, I think it's fitting, and I do want to reiterate that me and Austin both want to win. We're not here to try to let's split this pick because it's so hard. I mean, he and I are competing against each other. I think it's pretty fitting that we split this as well. I'm going to go Enterprise. And I really don't know why. I mean, to be honest with you, I saw Auburn last week. You'd been telling me how good Auburn was, and they showed that in person. These two teams have played this year twice, and I just looked, and both of them pretty much threw their guys, partly or some during those two games that they played. Enterprise was able to win both of those games. I think it was, I'm looking now, it was 5-1. Yes, it was 5-1 and 3-2. So these were really competitive games, and most of them threw their both sides threw most of their guys during both of those games, and that was two really good games, and I think you're going to see more of that this coming week. Obviously, I'm not letting the cat out of the bag per se, but man, you got to find some way to keep Santiago and Shepherd from beating you. I mean, and you know what? Here's the thing about it, though. You can't throw around those guys because in front of them and especially and behind them, they've got guys protecting them. I mean, so you got to pick your poison when pitching that Auburn lineup. But Enterprise, the body of work they've put together all year long, the consistency they've shown all year at 32-5, being at home could play a factor. I don't know. Again, two teams, and again, we're down. This is the last matchup, so it's the last time I want to say it. We're down to the final 8, so this is the way it should be. But we're going to split it. I'm going to go Enterprise in this big-time 7A matchup. So, man, that wraps us up. It's going to be done with for 3 hours. I do want to thank all of you for jumping on and listening, following along with what we do. We truly enjoy it. We appreciate the support of you jumping on and listening to what we have to say. We wish your team the best of luck this week. If you see us at the park, please come speak to us. We are going to try to be out and about as much as we can this week. Obviously, there's a lot of rain in the northern part of the state today. Tonight, I think it's going to be more of the central part of the state. So maybe there's games played today where Austin is. And then tomorrow, hopefully, they're as scheduled up here as well. So for Austin, you got anything before I wrap us up?
Good.
For Austin Sharp, our Alabama Scouting Director, I'm David Sharp, Deep South Supervisor. We appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you around. See you next Wednesday. Thank you.